ban anyone. Timeouts. That's it. For people who are being douchebags, just timeouts.
All right, I think we should be going live, so keep everybody in line and we'll be in good
shape.
Yeah.
I'm the marshal.
You made all these big promises with your moderating skills.
That's it, don't worry. I got it. Yeah, we're live right now. Awesome.
All right, cool. Let's get this thing started. So,
it's always difficult starting these live streams, isn't it? Compared to a video. It's like, boom, hey, what's going on? And then the live streams are just like, we're live. Hi everyone. So
hello,
yeah,
people.
Simon's going to be joining us, if I'm not mistaken, which is going to be awesome. We're going to have Simon on. But yeah, how are you all doing? I see there's a few people already in. Random Rob, how you doing? Michael, how you doing, mate?
No.
My dad's just joined.
No. It's only 30 degrees where I'm at. It's not quite 11, but I'm still a little cold. So I'm with you, but I miss the cold, so I'm happy about it.
You're talking Fahrenheit, right?
Yeah, you in Celsius?
Yeah. I'm gonna look. What is it right
0
now?
to 32 degrees.
It is 6 degrees Celsius right now here in England.
Robert, what do we think of the Tudor North flag?
The Tudor North flag.
I like it a lot, actually. I considered buying one at one point. I like it better than like the older style Rangers. I know everybody likes the Pelagos, and I think that I appreciate it, but I really like the North flag quite a bit, and I'd say that's one that I've certainly thought about. And I know they have the new Tudor in-house movement in it too, which is not the most pretty or well-finished movement of all time, but it's definitely a watch that speaks to me a little bit. It's just kind of far down on the list of ones I'd be looking at.
Yeah, it's definitely really nice, especially with the yellow accents. I think what they did with it is nice, and I think it's going to be an underrated model from Tudor. I think it already is an underrated model from Tudor, actually, especially on the bracelet. Not so much. I'm not a big fan of that canvas strap you can get it on. I get some real sort of, and I don't know why, but like older Air King vibes with it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah.
Which is very nice.
Hey, Charlie. It's one of those things, I don't know, Tudor seems to be really hot right now, and I'm kind of interested to see where they go because, I mean, for a long time, you bought a Tudor because you couldn't afford a Rolex. I don't mean that as an insult, but I mean, that's kind of the way people looked at them.
Yeah.
And it's now one of those things that it has a little bit of respect, which I think it deserves, and they've kind of done some interesting things to separate their style from, Rolex and make them kind of their own unique brand, which I think is really cool. And I know, James, you've got a Tudor on your wrist right now, and from Lone, how are you feeling about it?
I'm loving it. So this got sent into review by a viewer of the stream. This is the Tudor Oyster Prince Day Date, and it's absolutely beautiful. This is from 1985, so this is back when they were using ETAs. I know they still use ETAs, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Some of them, yeah, they're doing in-house on some too.
Exactly. So this is using like an ETA and everything. Build quality-wise, it's actually really, really good. It's got the Rolex crown and the Rolex case back. Yeah, you get real Rolex vibes from it, but at such a discount, compared to Rolex. So I feel like value-wise, you're getting a lot from Tudor. Yeah, definitely a lot. If you can't afford it, I still think to today, the vintage Tudor is where you go if you can't afford a vintage Rolex. I still stand by that, and I still think that is the way it should be. But modern Tudor is so different to Rolex that association is no longer there, and I don't think it should be there. You know what I mean? Like, it's so different now.
Yeah, that's a really good catch. A couple things. Hey, JC, how you doing? Charlie, yeah, you and I need to catch up and play some video games. I haven't been a good friend lately. But to your point, James, they're kind of a different brand today, because back in the day, they very much were like spare parts Rolex watches, and then they just put a lower grade, and totally respectable ETA movement. Like, I have my old Tudor Submariner, and it's an ETA 28, 24, and something like that. I have to look at it. Yeah. But nowadays, they're not just a rebadged Rolex with a lower grade movement. They're actually a distinct case and a distinct design, and they have their own personality. It's almost kind of like they're two very different brands.
Yeah, they are two very different brands, and I think they're going to start over time. Their histories are going to start becoming more and more divided. It's no longer going to be Rolex and Tudor. It's going to be here's Rolex and here's Tudor. And I think we're already seeing that with the popularity of a lot of their new releases, and the collectability of them as well. Just look at the bronze. The the bronze one they released, and just how collectible that has already become. So there, and I think that's just going to continue to grow. It's like Grand Seiko, you know, just they're just doing marketing right. These brands are just doing it right, and I think a lot of other brands need to watch and learn.
Yeah, oh God, these comments are funny. Wow. So, geez, what do we think about? Where is it? Santa isn't real. I think Santa lives in your imagination, but there's a great movie called The Santa Claus with Tim Allen that I'd recommend you watch, and it might expose the mystery of Santa for you. Timex is great. Yeah, Clark, what do we think about Christopher Ward? You know, James and I have talked about this on every live chat in perpetuity. I think we both admit that we respect them, but they're not top of our list for favorites, and we've never experienced them in person. Now, just funny enough, today, one of my friends from YouTube, Patrick, contacted me, and he just bought a, what do you call it, Trident, last of the series with the traditional Christopher Ward logo before they upgraded. And he got a stunning deal on it, and he's really, really happy with it, especially with the old logo. And I guess there's some really good discounts on them now with the older logos. And he said that the quality on it's better than the Rolexes he used to own. And, you know, he and I have very similar opinions on watches. So, I mean, I think that kind of speaks for itself, but I don't have the experience. I don't know, James, anything you want to add?
Yeah, when I went to Salon QP, I got to experience them. And build quality wise, they feel okay. They feel decent. They're not anything over the top. They're not. I think what you can pick them up second hand is reasonable. If I'm not mistaken, they're like £700, about $900. Am I right? Second hand.
Yeah, they keep on new for like $600 US, which was incredible.
Yeah. So at that kind of price, I think it's a good price. At retail, I think they're terrible. I think they're terribly priced at retail, if I'm completely honest. But buy them secondhand, definitely, and you're getting a lot of watch. I would definitely agree. As a brand, I don't really know much about them as a brand, but I don't. From their recent changes with logos, I've spoke about this so many times. I'm not a fan, and I think they're doing things wrong. But apparently, according to them, sales are up, so clearly they're not doing things wrong. I'm just a guy on the internet talking.
Yeah, you and I are great at getting in trouble for our opinions. JC, yeah, the Snowflake is gorgeous, but, you know, I've said this many times. It's a spring drive, and I know it's a superior movement, but I'm a high beat guy only because I like my mechanicals pure and not molested by quartz pieces.
Well, in February time, I'm hoping to get a Grand Seiko Quartz, Grand Seiko Spring Drive, and a Grand Seiko Automatic in for review from Andy, all three. So I can do a video with all three at once and show the differences between all of them. It's going to be very, very cool. Fingers crossed that happens. We'll have to wait until February time. Yeah, Timex. Wow. Timex is a really good brand. I think you get a lot, especially in the vintage market with Timex, especially on eBay. You can pick them up at an absolutely ridiculous price, but make sure you know what you're getting into. Definitely.
Thoughts on the Bull of a Moon watch? We've talked about this a little bit. I know actually when we had CG on last time, we talked about that as well. And, you know, I think the design of it's spectacular. And I will admit, too, that I've been tempted on multiple occasions to pick up a Bulova in terms of the Precisionist line. I've seen a couple on deep discount for like $100, and at that price, they seem like a really good deal, and they've really tempted me. And the Moon watch is another one of those watches that, even though I have my issues with quartz, and actually I just sold off my Shinola and swapped it out for a Seiko Sumo, you guys will be seeing soon enough. I still really do appreciate that watch, and I'm sure I'd come up with a couple nice things to say about it if I was being totally honest.
Yeah, I think the Bulova's are good watches. I think the Precisionist line is definitely a really good line and valued very, very well. I don't think you can go wrong. I think most collections should have a quartz piece just to time everything else, and obviously the Precisionist line is up there with the most accurate. So you get a lot of watch for the price, definitely. But the Moon watch, I think, is cool, but I think they did it wrong. I think they completely did it wrong by putting the high beat quartz movement in. Personally, I think sticking to the guns of it being a tribute, it should have also gone automatic or mechanical, or manual wound even.
I think we have a new visitor joining.
Oh, there he is.
Simon?
All righty.
Hey!
Sorry, I'm using my tablet. I've tried to get you up on my new phone, but it won't. It's playing me up, I'm afraid. You okay?
Yeah, I saw the state of your old one. I had a really beautiful effect on the glass.
Yeah. There it is, right there.
Yeah.
I can't bear to be without it.
You're up to what, the S7 now? Is that what I heard?
Yep, I've gone from the the
The
5 to
S5.
7. Yeah.
There you go. I still got my S5. It's still ticking away strongly.
I'm on a company issued iPhone 6, so I do have an S5 somewhere around here. I just don't use it.
It's like the staple phone for every YouTuber, isn't it? I swear.
I think.
Yeah, we like to be predictable.
I think you'll find
a
lot of iPhone users. My mum and my wife are both absolute iPhone, Apple mad. They cannot use Android. They're completely and utterly just when they will sit there with their iPhone and sort of sweep their finger across. They pick up like my Samsung and do that, and then wonder why it doesn't work. This is stupid. I can't understand this thing. So I prefer the Android systems.
Same person.
I'm a total, like, I've never been an Apple fanboy, and now I'm coming to you guys from an iMac that I begrudgingly bought for YouTube, and I'm looking at my Windows 10 PC next to me and still liking it better. I'm using an iPhone because I have to for work, and I have an iPad next to me because I have to for work, and I'm part of a club that I didn't plan on being a part of. You just got asked a question, by the way. Robert Marshall wants to know how you're liking your oyster, Simon.
Love it. Love it. About 16, 17 months now. I'm still glad that I bought it. I'm still, it was a sort of, I really liked the idea of having something that was obviously a Rolex, which is within the Northwood, but having something a little bit more left field. The price was right for me as well, and I enjoy I enjoy having it. It's and that's it. I can't ever see myself getting rid of it. I'm in a situation right now where, to be honest with you, I don't really see anything that really sort of blows my mind watch-wise. I was looking at that J.Anthony chronograph a couple of weeks ago, the video I made a couple of weeks ago, but very nice, but it's just I can't see myself ever owning. It was too much of a plunge to go and buy something like that, I think.
Are you still considering Grand Seiko?
You had one, didn't you, Simon? Like an older one?
I've had an older Grand Seiko, and I definitely wouldn't another vintage Grand Seiko. Yeah, I like the idea of it, but it was true. If you read through the Grand Seiko videos that I made a couple of weeks ago, it's very true. Somebody actually said, who was it now? I can't remember who it was, but somebody actually said there's a lot of people who sort of virtue signal in this sort of new age watch snob way. Oh yes, I'd have a Grand Seiko over a Rolex any day of the week. And as he said, you put the money in their hand though, and say, well, go on then. There's $7,000 American. What are you going to buy? At the last minute, a lot of them people will go, I'll buy a Rolex, or I won't buy a Seiko anyway. I'll go and buy something else. But yeah, I love them. I mean, you can't help but look at them and think, look at these beautiful looking pieces. But I can also, with that, understand how a lot of people will be put off by the name Seiko on the dial. And it's true, they should have picked up. I mean, a few years ago, there was brands banding around that hadn't made watches anymore, that they could have bought a brand, if you would, and then, put their own moves in a brand.
I guess they're doing that with Credo, though, really. And Grand Seiko's always been around, hasn't it, since like 1962, is it, or 63? So they've got that history already built up as well, with being that better version of Seiko. So I think they're doing the right thing. Personally, I think they're marketing it very well, especially in the American market at the moment. It's just climbing ranks massively, and people are talking about it, so they're doing something right. But I do get what you're saying, yeah, and it does put a lot of people off. But I don't think they're marketing to them people. that it puts off. I think they are marketing to the people who are like this new age where they're like, I'd rather own a Grand Seiko than a Rolex. I think they're playing on that, and I think that's part of their whole marketing scheme.
Yeah,
All right.
I mean, I know guys who, I mean, a friend of mine from the various watch groups, and there's a commentator on the channel, Lord David. There's a guy with 8, 9 Rolexes. He has, he's a Lange, he's got an AP, and he forgot about a Ulysses Nardine that he had. He forgot about it.
As you do.
He wouldn't have a Grand Seiko. He's like, nope, I wouldn't have one. No, not at all. Yeah, for other people, they would have one as their only watch. I personally think a lot of collectors would maybe have one as sort of their third or fourth or fifth high-end or decent sort of end, you know, sort of fifth watch, if you would, after they've had sort of a date just a GMT, making a Mager of some sort or another, or an Agile reverse, and then a Grand Seiko. But not before that. They would have to sort of go through all those
the stages
sort of
first. Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I definitely wouldn't advise a Grand Seiko to someone getting their first luxury watch, or like spending that amount in terms of luxury value. But I don't know. I think that might start to change, because right now there's not exactly an awful amount of videos on YouTube and on the internet and in the forums and everything about Grand Seiko. It's only starting to get traction now. So I think next year is going to be very, very interesting for Grand Seiko, and I'm excited to see what it is by the end of it. You know, after having this conversation right now, and then by the end of next year, see what we're saying then. You know, I think it'll be very interesting.
So, sorry guys, we've been avoiding some of your questions while we digress about stuff we love talking about, obviously. Robert, and so this is kind of why I love having different people on the show, because we all have a different perspective, and I think when you hear people with very different perspectives, you come up with your own good opinion. So, Robert, you were talking about an Orient Mako for $170. I bought a first-generation Mako. I got it on a good deal for $85, and that watch was incredible. It even had a metal retainer ring in it, and I cannot say enough nice things about Orient. A lot of you guys have found me in the last like 6 months to a year, so you missed some of my older Orient videos, which were terribly done. But if you ever had watched them, you'd realize that I have a lot of love for Orient. And I know, you know, there was also talk about, you know, going antique shopping and looking for the good watch deal. I love playing that game because we have enough knowledge that we're always hoping we'll come across that one thing that somebody else has no idea what they have. And I know somebody's posting in the forums they found like a vintage like Cartier Santos like at a Goodwill store for like $5. I mean, so that stuff does happen. It hasn't happened to me yet.
Yeah, one day.
Robert, I bought it on Amazon, to your question. What about you guys? I mean, I know, how do you guys think about the Mako? I think it's a great deal for what it is.
My dad also picked up a first-gen Mako with a Pepsi for, I think it was around £75. My dad's in the chat somewhere, so he'll probably chime in. I think it was £75 and he got 5 rubber straps with it. So you can definitely pick up some great deals. You know, and it's a good watch at the end of the day. So definitely keep an eye out on eBay. That's what I'd say.
Well, I got my Mako from Creation Watches, who I believe are out in Singapore.
Yep.
And that was £85, which is what, about $120 or so. And that's the one I run over. And I've been wearing it today. I wore that today to work, and it works. It holds pretty good time. I mean, it's, you know, for a cheap automatic, it's not going to be COS certified anyway, but it's about 10 seconds a day fast or something. You know, you wear it for a 2 or 3 day stint. It's not running, you know, 10, 15 minutes. It runs a minute fast or something after 3 or 4 days. But for how much it cost, it's a good watch. Incidentally, the Seiko is in the bag, ready to go first thing tomorrow morning. That's been sold.
Oh, you sold it now?
Gone. Yep. You got rid of yours as well, didn't you?
Yeah, mine went a while ago. On the 27th of December, I'm going to have my video out on why I sold it, because obviously a lot of people are like, why would you sell it? It makes no sense. It's the best watch. And I want to set the record straight on why I sold it, and just, yeah, it's mad, isn't it? But you're going to be doing the same, or I know you kind of covered it in the video where you said you were selling it.
I've got kind of 3 reasons. Firstly, I wasn't really wearing it. Secondly,
Same.
I have a friend of mine who, if you look about 6 months ago, I looked at a friend of mine's vintage Seiko Turtle. He's considering letting that go, and he's given me first refusal, so I may buy that. That thing's totally original. It's over 40 years old. He's had it for 30 years. And it's literally he wore it for about 15 years, and it's sat in the drawer for 15 years. So it's battered. It's had a few chips out of it, let's put it this way, but it's the coolest looking watch ever. And it's totally original. As I say, it's not been serviced or anything. And thirdly, they've become the SKX to me has become a little bit passé. It's become a little bit too sort of obvious now.
It's the cheap sub. It's the cheap Submariner, you know, like everyone's got one.
Well, yeah.
I never had one, so.
But you know, you still would have a Submariner, but the SKX has just become a little bit too obvious. Great watch. I'm only saying this now, of course, because I've sold it.
Yeah.
And I'll deny any knowledge of this conversation if ever I buy another one.
That's only recorded, so no big deal.
No, I can't see that.
So we're getting a whole bunch of questions, and so this is kind of funny. So I'm going to write off a bunch of answers, and then you guys can pipe into. We're sorry, guys, we're ignoring you, and that's really sad. We could just talk all day on our own, so that's kind of the problem here. So Grail Watch,
question,
and
I was about to say that one. Yeah, go for it. Sorry.
Yeah, so there's what's the Grail Watch? What do we think of the Sky Dweller? Wow, there's so many questions on here. I think the Sky Dweller, I think the complications of it, I think it's something that Rolex should actually have in their lineup. I feel like a lot of their watches are still really basic, and for what they charge for some of their higher end pieces, I think it'd be nice to see them compete with some complications and do it reliably. And I think the Sky Dweller, complication-wise, is really cool from Rolex. I'd say aesthetically, it's got too much going on for me. I don't really like the way it looks, but I appreciate that they've finally done something different since they're so conservative in what they do. And then Grail, for me, I'm going to ask the other guys to pipe in too. To me, if I was ever going to go blow money on a watch, I'd still look at a Lange. I mean, if money was just burnable, I would still never be in the market for like a $200,000 or $300,000 watch. It just seems ridiculous to me. But spending 20 grand on like a Lange one, I could see myself doing that at some point. I don't know. How about you guys?
I think if I had the Sky Dweller over here is about £30,000.
Yeah.
So I think if I had that sort of money and I had to buy it new, of course, I would probably go and buy a JLC Geometry. I've tried them on, and they are just pucker. They really are. Mind blowing. As regards Grail piece, money no object. I mean, absolutely money no object. Definitely a Roger Smith. I love the look of the FP Giorns. They're beautiful as well. You know, I don't really think I actually have a Grail watch as such, because it's sort of not really anything I really think about. I mean, there's an obtainable watch, like the Jousey chronograph. I mean, that I was looking at a couple of weeks ago. You look at that and sort of start thinking to yourself, well, a bit of jiggy pokery and a bit of saving and, you know, sell a kidney and whatnot, and it's obtainable. But the likes of Roger Smith and that sort of thing, that is so
far out there. Yeah,
that's a lot. That is lottery winner. Your dad's in, I see. Your dad's here.
Oh yeah.
Is he in the house?
The history with Roger Smith is incredible.
No, I don't live with my dad. No, he's somewhere else. He'd be chilling up here with me if he did.
Mark Flowers just actually said, what about the bird repeater from Jackie?
Oh yeah.
I would, but again, I have to say, like I did in the video, 437,000 quid. I mean, that's just, even if it won 10 million on the lottery, right? I'm pretty sure that would be divorce material. Going, you spent how much on a watch? Yeah, but look at, you couldn't wear it. You couldn't wear it. Could you just wind up and look at it and sit there going, look at that, you know? Oh man, what a fantastic piece that is. But, you know, it's ridiculous. So it is. And I love the way that Roger Smith and a few of his watches, he'll put a tourbillon in a watch, but then covers it up so you don't see it.
Yeah.
And
yeah, quite a few are doing that now.
I love that.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's like it's like just for you, only you know. I think my obtainable grail would be probably, right now it changes like every week, so ask me next week, it'll be something different. But right now, the brand new Yacht-Master 2016, the 116622 with the blue, the slate grey dial with the blue, beautiful. And then probably my ultimate grail, AP Royal Oak 15400, just because I've always loved it since before I knew watches. Like, it was one of those watches I saw on Instagram all the time, and I just thought it looked so nice with the blue.
Bracelet or rubber strap?
Bracelet every day. Love it. It looks beautiful.
Bit of a scratch magnet, though, isn't it? I mean,
I wouldn't wear it because of how expensive it is. I'll just leave it in the box. Just looks nice.
I was speaking to Don Haynes earlier tonight. I was speaking to Don Haynes. He phoned me briefly, and he was going on about that because Don Haynes likes to go on. And he was saying that apparently it's something ridiculous, like $2,000. No, it's $1,000 or something just to get an AP bracelet polished.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
It's mad, isn't it? It's just mad money.
Total and utter madness.
So Robert Marshall asked a good question, and considering what you do, Simon, this is probably a really good question for you. But the question is, do you have beaters that you wear for work, or do you use your great watches? I work in an office, corporate American office, so I don't really put my watches through hard use. I'm wearing a suit at trade shows, or I'm sitting in in front of a computer all day. So I wear any of my watches, from my high end to my low end, doesn't matter to me. But when I go like into a city, like a big city, I always will wear one of my cheaper watches just because I'm expecting people to screw with me. But I don't know. How about you guys?
Well, I have the Orient and the Vostok for work. But recently, in the last few weeks, I have actually started wearing the Rolex to work. Not really and truthfully, what's happened is that I'm off on a Thursday, and I've just got up on a Friday morning with the Rolex still on my wrist and gone to work. But having said that, and I've had a few pictures of me with the Rolex on with my workwear on Instagram. With the saying that though, right, this time of year, I've got thermal top, jumper, white overall, and a fleece top sometimes. That watch up my sleeve is literally wrapped up in cotton. So,
yeah,
exactly. It's not like it's going to get bashed around, stuck up there. It's the other hand that sort of does all the work.
Only anyway. That, I think the Rolex can take it. I think the Rolex could take it anyway, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't wear it in the summer if I was just wearing like shirt sleeves and an apron.
Yeah, in case of knocking it. I mean, in terms of like your general use and beating, I think it could take it.
Well, I've got to fiddle around the Vostok because I went the Vostok on the Orient on NATO's, and it was the Vostok was
came off. Sorry, on your Instagram.
And then actually the spring bar is broken, and there's like a little shard of the spring bar still in the in the lug. So I don't know how I'm going to dig that out. Hopefully that's not wrecked the watch for me. Sorry, I'm just as I'm talking to you, I just all of a sudden get to see the comments and start reading.
Yeah, let's be good and let's talk back to these people. By the way, guys, the long moon phase, yes, that's probably my better grail than what I would have said. And Robert, this is another good question too. Should Rolex bring back the month day chrono moon phase and kick Patek and us? Well, I think with the comment we just talked about, like how Simon can wear his Rolex at work, I think Rolex has a really good niche of having a really good tool watch that can be dressed up or dressed down, but it's a reliable, rugged piece where you can wear it in situations. And I think if they won something that way, Rolex was going to try that. I think the Cellini line would be where they would have to go. Because I think like the Oyster line, I think that's very much a working watch. And I think for them to have something like that, making something that delicate, I think would be very out of place and people wouldn't know what to do with it. But I think I think Cellini's they've really struggled with, because I don't know, a lot of people don't really like the dressier side of Rolex, and I love like the Cellini prints. I don't know why that is, but I feel like they're kind of not really into that market. I feel like people that can afford a Rolex and also Patek, they buy one or the other based on preference. They don't necessarily expect the same from both brands. It's kind of my thought.
Yeah, Patek are what they're good at, and Rolex are doing what they're good at. I think it should stay to that. Though competition is always good. So, but no, I think it makes them Rolexes, them vintage Rolexes, even more desirable. And I think it should stay that way. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, sorry, guys. We're so sorry. We like talking, I know.
I'm a friend. Lord David's in the house now. Lord David's joined in. There's usual grief that I get from. He phones at the most. He'll phone me tomorrow morning at like 10 to 9 when I'm taking my daughter into school. And what are you doing? He's taking everyone to school, and he'll be out walking his dog with his shotgun in his arm, and shotgun on arm,
Well,
wrist.
What do you think of the rubber bezel on the new Omega Planet Oceans? I saw it for the first time a couple of days ago. They got one in Lumbers right now with the orange. I think it's got the orange bezel with the grey. I don't know which one. I think it's that. It looks really nice. I haven't handled it yet, so I don't really know. But I guess it makes sense. You know, rubber bezel. I don't know. I think it can work. What do you guys think? Especially on a Planet Ocean.
I like the Planet Ocean. Go ahead.
I'm sort of in two minds about this bezel thing that they've done with the Planet Ocean. It's okay. It just, I don't know. I just sort of feel it kind of, there's a little bit of gimmick there, isn't there? But I need to go and have a sort of good proper look at it at some point to cast proper judgment. But so for now, I'm sort of indifferent. But you know, some of it's a little bit gimmicky.
Of course, yeah. I think it is, but with it being on a rubber strap and then having a rubber bezel, I can understand it in terms of resistance when diving. You know, in case you knock it or something. I think it'd make a lot of sense in that sense. But yeah, it is pretty much just a gimmick, I think.
I must admit, I tried on. Sorry, Jay. I tried on a couple of weeks ago the Tudor Pelagos, the blue Pelagos, and I liked that. And I must admit, I did find myself thinking, I had wished I'd bought that a couple of years ago instead of the Bremont. I've got to say, Andy Doe's just popped up in the comments here. Andy is part of the sort of the watch forums as well, and he's just bought a 38.5mm Aquaterra. And that's
very
a
nice
piece. Very nice looking watch. Yeah. Typhoon Curry's in as well. My wee friend Jim. There you go.
I like the Aquaterra. It reminds me of the Sarb, actually, which I know sounds kind of silly for me to say that, but there's that very kind of simple design to it that I really appreciate. A couple real things, Mark. When's the updated Coke coming out? I would expect when they come out with the next generation of the GMT Master. This generation, they did the Pepsi as a special in solid gold. I suspect next generation they'll bring back the Coke, which that's just a guess. I mean, Rolex they're really good at keeping stuff to themselves and not changing much. Mark, what would you recommend as like a good daily knockaround watch? You know, obviously these two gentlemen just sold off their SKX. I would have put that on the list. I think the Seiko Monster, if you're willing to go up to that price, is a great watch. I think the Mako, any of the Seiko 5s, I think all of those would be really strong. I think it depends on what you're looking to spend more than.
I wouldn't advise the Seiko 5 for a daily beater personally, unless you're gonna add the extra to get a different strap, because the bracelet on it is that bad in my opinion that it won't be a beater watch with the bracelet. So I'd add another 10 quid or whatever and get a cheap NATO for it, and then you've got a beater watch with it, definitely.
I mean, I think for a daily wear or a beater watch, just anything under 200-300 quid. I think the key thing is buying anything like that's absolutely fine. But I think then the key thing for me would be, don't jump up to the sort of £1,000 level, the Oris, Longines, that sort of thing. Just save your money, and then jump in at the sort of the Tudor Omega, the Tudor Black Bay Omega, your Yacht-Master level, and then see where you go from there. And I'm speaking through experience, because geez, if I lost a lot of money on Oris and you know, such like tag, oh Jesus. I had a
tag. I can agree with. Tag, I can agree with.
My first decent watch was a Tag Monaco, and I trashed it in 18 months. Absolutely trashed.
Oh.
And needed a new strap, new buckle. I took a chip out of it. I sold it on eBay for 600 quid. It was absolutely just wasted. Oh dear.
Wow, these questions. JC, so you're talking about the 57 Omega with the bumper automatic. My experience with the 50s Omegas is the Constellation, and I know right after the bumper they went to the rotor. The ones that I've experienced are the rotor type. The bumpers are really good too. A lot of people consider the 50s and 60s kind of the golden era of Omega, and there's really not a watch back then except, you know, how I feel about gold plated. that I would say you could go wrong with. But even those have a following. I mean, the bumper works well. I think that everybody's gone to Rotor because I think it's a more efficient system. But that's an awesome, awesome watch. I would recommend any watch from the 50s. Just be aware, obviously, that the sizes back then, finding a 40 mil back then was pretty difficult. Most were like 32, 33 mil, which is a little petite for today's taste.
Mm.
Wow. Gentlemen, feel free to answer questions for our audience here.
Thoughts on Longines Legend Heritage Diver? If I'm not mistaken, that's the new one they buy with the 2 crowns, one with the internal bezel. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's that one. Again, they've got it in lumbers. It looks very nice, but their whole range right now in lumbers of Longines is just throwback models. Everything is a throwback right now that Longines are releasing. I think it's too much. Way too much. I love the look of some of them, but when a brand's doing that many throwbacks, it's a cry for help, in my opinion. I think.
My pet peeve is fake worn patina, right?
Yeah.
2014 is
Yeah, it's like those stand-up straps and like a fake crocodile.
Yeah, because you don't like.
I was going to say totally, it's a fake crocodile strap.
The 65.
You don't?
Sorry, the Oris 65. Not a fan. I have, however, seen on eBay. I can't remember what the watch was called, but it was a watch that looks very much like the Oris 65, but it is a genuinely old, withered-looking watch. It actually looks a little bit beaten up, but I thought it was quite a cool-looking piece, just down to the fact that it was proper old and not make-believe old.
Yeah, the thing that confuses me is how they're going to actually patina. I wonder what's going to happen there, you know, because they're made to look already patinaed. I just wonder if the aging process is going to like completely screw up the watch.
Yeah, the whole thing just feels like a lie to me too. I like the disingenuous nature of it. Like, I'm with you. It bothers me. I don't know. It's like I get that people want a vintage look without the vintage headaches of the delicacy and the service problems. I do understand that, but so there just seems something disingenuous about buying a fakely aged watch. It's like, I don't know.
And Andy Hunter said Andy Hunter's put out a video yesterday on the Dricos channel. He was talking about somebody asked him about the Oris 65. Funny enough, he used the word disingenuous for that as well. Down to the fact that he says for divers, it's only 100 meters water resistance. He said if you can get a Steinhardt at £300 with 300 meters water resistance, or
I thought the Oris 65 was 300 meters. It's just it's advertised as 100 on the dial for the vintage appeal.
Oh, is that right? Is it? Okay.
I think that's what it is. It's advertised like that on the dial for the vintage appeal, but I think it's actually 300 meters.
Is it?
Wrong.
Well, fair play then. If that's the case. I stand corrected.
But no, because it is again false advertising, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Well, not really, because what they're doing is selling it, doing it that, didn't they? You're looking it up right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm not too sure now. I've said it. I read it somewhere, and I might be wrong.
I
just say 100.
Yeah. Expertise. Yeah.
Just say 100. Cool. Yep. Yeah, I was wrong. No worries.
So it says 100. It is 100 water resistance.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
Yep. Morgan's just put in here. Oris is 100 meters water resistance. Damn. That's it's not great for a diver, but let's be fair here, right? It's got a screw-in crown, which I'm assuming it has. Diving, 100 meters, nobody's going to go. Where are you going to take it? Really, you're going to go in the swimming pool with it.
Maybe a little bit of scuba diving, and that's it.
A wee bit, but as you say, you're not exactly going to stick on an aqualung and go sort of, diving with the sharks or
with James Cameron. Yeah.
No, exactly. So it does sort of, it does sort of beg the question why we put so much emphasis on dive watches and the depth dive watches go with fixating.
Bragging rights. It's bragging rights. That's all it is.
Well, it is, isn't it? But it's I don't know. It's just kind of a little bit of a weird one for me because they do sort of fixate on these things a little bit.
Yeah.
Too much.
Well, just look at the deep sea dweller. It's ridiculous.
It is.
Like, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I think it looks horrible, personally. Like, I love the James Cameron edition dial, but I think the watch itself is too big. It's like a monster on your wrist. Like, what? I don't get it. Who's wearing that? You know what I mean? Like, Mark Goldberg, yeah.
Is this Donald Trump wrist size envy here? You guys feel insecure about your wrist size? Is this the problem? Anti-addictive guy, by the way. Your name is Paul, right? I can't remember, but that was hilarious about the extracting the Lego. Thank you for making me smile. I appreciate that.
I spoke to Paul about 7 or 8 months ago, and he's a funny guy. His problem is he has to stay off the sort of the watch groups, because he just ends up having a couple of drinks and mischief descends upon him, and he just starts trolling away at someone in the nicest possible way. But you know how tetchy some of these guys can get.
Yeah. So this has been a fun week. Hey Shafir. So I know we experienced some hate in the watch community this week, which was a lot of fun. I know you got some crap on some of your videos. I got some too, and I'm thinking, I know Navsong, our friend, a mutual friend of ours, is going to be watching this, and I've offered to have him on many times, and there's excuses of time zones, and I think the other excuses too is he's afraid he's going to insult my audience. So I don't know that involves alcohol or not. I'm willing to guess that that's a no alcohol situation. So I think James and I should get him drunk and see what he's like as well.
I think he's brilliant. I love his attitude to like responding to comments. It's brilliant. It's just pure savagery. It's mad. But yeah, what are some of the questions coming in? Not a fan of these Ori 65, especially with 100 meters war resistance. We were just talking about it. 100 meters is more than enough in my opinion. I've got the Oris RTX GT day date, 100 meters war resistance, screw down crown. I would take that anywhere with water, and I would not worry one bit. Scuba diving with it, you know what I mean? Like, I think it is just another gimmick, and well, not a gimmick, but you get what I'm saying. Like, who's literally going to go 200 meters with a watch? Good luck. You know what I mean? It's just mad.
I do deep desk diving. I'm always digging through drawers for stuff. It's a big test on the watch. So many good questions.
Robert Marshall's just better. What are your thoughts on solid gold watches? Absolutely love them. I'm that crass. I would wear a solid gold watch. Lord David's commented here. What do you think of Panerai? Lord David he's got a great story. He used to be an aeronauticals engineer, and he was actually out in the Far East, and dealing with some sheikh or prince's Learjet, and the boy came out and actually presented him and his team with gold just as a little thank you. And he got a gold GMT, and he actually calls it the Arab GMT. It's just a nice present.
That's amazing. Yeah.
It's a funny thing though that, you know, we look at some watches as gold watches. Like we were talking about it earlier, the Sky Dweller. In fact, I think I've discussed this before on my channel. You get like the Sky Dweller and the JLC Geometry. One's a gold watch with complications, the Sky Dweller. The Geometry kind of you look at it from the other way. It looks like a complicated watch that is also gold, you know, made out of gold. So yeah, I think either way, gold watches, solid gold, yeah, absolutely. I would have one, hands down. Would not, however, pay the 4, sometimes 5 times the money that Rolex want for theirs. I mean, it's just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. So, well, the fact
I think rose gold is the way to go with gold, personally. I'm really not a fan of yellow gold.
Are you not? Oh no, I love rose gold. I mean, my friend with a Seiko Turtle, his other watch is a rose gold day date, and that's just a great 2-watch collection, a vintage Seiko Turtle and a rose gold day date. It doesn't get much better than that. Can I just say that the fat gent is watching, and he actually sent me his Seiko Blue Monster a couple of months ago, and I sent it back to him last night. I just want to ask Barry, did you get your watch back, and is it okay? If it's not okay, don't sort of publicly answer.
And I was going to say 2 quick things just on the gold thing. I agree with you, Shafir, that I mean, gold value-wise, stainless steel is a much better proposition. I had a solid gold watch. I had the Rolex day date. I agree with Simon. I like the rose gold better. I had yellow gold. And I think with a solid gold bracelet on, I think it was too much. Honestly, I felt like a total asshole wearing that watch, and I was very uncomfortable wearing it. That said, like a thin dress watch on a fine leather strap, I think that's very classy. I think the Rolex, the solid gold one with a solid gold bracelet, not only is the gold soft, and I was constantly scuffing it up and stretching it out, which is expensive to fix, but I don't know. I had self-esteem issues wearing that watch. I felt like I was just, I don't know. But not to say there's anything against gold watches, and I love like a really nicely done, thin, leather-strapped gold watch. And then Mark, I know you're asking about the SAR 009. I absolutely hate it. I think it's a total piece of crap and would definitely not recommend it for my last review. So much so that this isn't mine and I'm stealing it from my friend. He just doesn't realize that yet. So, great watch. I would definitely recommend one.
Oh God.
So
I froze.
You guys back?
oh,
Hello, gentlemen. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just reading that Fat Gent's getting back to me here saying that he's forgot to let me know that he got his watch back. Okay, no worries, Barry. Hit the nail on the head. Watch forms of me are like petrol. And Paul's just put the watch forms like petrol were matches for him. Damn.
Oh, and Eric is watching. I stole my other friend's watch too. I still have his SAR 001. I'm not giving it back yet either. So don't give me watches to borrow because I'm not getting them back.
Okay, Sophia asked, where was that question from Sophia that I was, where is it? Let's just jump to 8. Sophia's wanting to know, does the Pepsi Rolex stainless steel, do you think Rolex will do that? Stainless Pepsi? That's a good question. They will, but what they'll probably do is extremely limit the numbers so they become extremely collectible, and they're able to fleece absolute top dollar for, you know, what is the same as the BLNR and the Coke dial, and they'll probably add another couple of grand on top for the Pepsi dial, no doubt, and it will be absolutely exactly the same watch, just a different color insert, you know, and people will queue for it in their hordes.
You know what is so funny is Rolex has definitely played that game, because last generation, 16, 7, 10, they all had the same case reference. So you could take your watch to Rolex, they'd swap the bezel out, and you would never know what it came with originally. But Rolex is now clever, and they're marking the cases with a slightly different thing after the model numbers, so they know what the bezel was originally, so you can't even play with it anymore. I mean, they've totally cut the market. It's really mean.
Yeah. And it's clever marketing for them. Clever marketing. I'll tell you one, talking about clever marketing, one firm I do kind of take my hat off to as regards marketing, and that's Steinhardt, because Steinhardt have done this sort of wonderful thing. I don't know if he's actually engineered this or it's just happened for him. Steinhardt have got this sort of underground movement, if you would. There's this underground movement of people who sort of like Steinhardt. You can ask anyone in the street, nobody's heard of Steinhardt, but it's just there. And for a lot of people, especially just getting into watches, Steinhardt's one of the first names come up. And whether Gunther Steinhardt has done that on purpose, or he has just stumbled upon this sort of cult following, if you would, I don't know, but it's definitely working for him. Definitely working for him. And where has James gone?
He dropped off. Now, on Steinhardt, if I recall, and feel free to tell me I'm forgetting things, you had at least one that I recall and you've gotten rid of it, correct? And would you also put them in the same grouping as Christopher Ward?
Yeah, well, they're the sort of, you know, generic ETA-based, sort of almost Rolex homage-y, sort of definite Rolex homage sort of genre. Oh, he's back. So yeah, so they're there, and you know what? I didn't dislike the two Steinhardts that I had, but I just think that you get them and you wear them for a bit, and you have a look on eBay, and you realize that you can pretty much get your money back on eBay for them. So you stick it on eBay, and away it goes. And then maybe you go and buy another one. The first one I had was the sort of the homage to the Double Red Sea Dweller, and I sold it on eBay, and it was my friend that bought it. And I get this text at work: "Can you deliver my watch to me tonight?" And I love the bean basher, and it was my friend Tam, who lives like 5 miles. He's quite prominent in modern day watch enthusiasts, and it's the first watch that he ever bought, and that was just over 2 years ago now, before I started the whole YouTube thing. And he's now sort of gone on. He's got a two-tone bluesy. He's got no date sub. He's one of these guys that just seems to root out a really good classic vintage deal. He's just bought a vintage Heuer chronograph. And he's got, the Oyster Precision that I looked at about 4 weeks ago. That was his. We were going to do a little swapsy with that and the Seamaster chronograph that I've got. But yeah, he's just one of these guys that annoyingly manages to find a really good deal on eBay, and probably hasn't lost a penny on a watch. And I'm being tagged in posts here. James tagged me in a post.
Was that Steinite you're talking about?
Yeah, it was the first. It was the watch that set my friend off on his sort of watch quest.
Oh, nice. They're asking if there's any chance I could get hold of a watch for review, if they had any, and they just literally replied back with no, like literally just no, kind regards, and then the woman's name. I was like, oh.
I tell you what, it's a shame you weren't. It's a shame you weren't on the scene about a year ago, James, because I would have sent you. Andy Hunter's Pepsi Steinhardt.
Yeah, it was going around, wasn't it?
Oh man, I absolutely loved that watch. I really did. There's just something about the fact that it's been sort of around. Having said that, I've been around the world. It never went to Australia. It literally went from America to Guido in Holland, to me, down to Gary Edwards in Wales, back to me, and then I sent it to Crystal. I think Crystal sent it to Doughton. Did Chris Marshall have that watch? I think Chris Marshall had it. Then it went to Don Haynes, and then back to Andy. So it never got as far as Australia.
That's a shame. The white, the GMT with the cream dial, that's very nice. That's a nice one. Obviously the red sub homage as well. Quite like them.
So we had a really good question in the comments here too, and apparently, and I want to hold this thought. Apparently, you have an issue with the Alpinist, Simon. We need to talk about this. It's an awesome watch, but I don't know. Yeah, apparently there's a story there.
I saw a Grand Seiko that had that sunburst green dial and absolutely loved it. But Mark Flowers trolls me with this picture of his Alpinist. And he's just, quite frankly, Mark, it's not the watch that's getting on my tits. It is you that is getting on my tits. It's just, here's my Alpinist. It's like, no, I don't know. I just sort of, it just doesn't do anything for me.
I'm not a fan of it. I don't like the green, and I don't like the way it looks. I'll be completely honest. I'm sure it's a great watch.
But you like the white dial one, right?
Of course, it's beautiful in white. But I'm just not a fan of green.
So here's a question that I wanted to ask to all of us. Oh my God, people, these questions are coming too quickly. So one of the questions that came up, and I see you guys are going back and forth about value, and is a Rolex overpriced? Obviously, if any of you guys have watched me for anything at the time, I made a bunch of videos of why I hated Rolex and sold them off, and now that I'm a hypocrite and I'm wearing one as we're talking right now and have a couple, of course they're overpriced. I mean, that's the reality. I mean, I tell you guys all the time, if you're looking for a quality watch, just buy a Seiko. It's not going to make you any less happy than a Rolex one.
Just get a really good, genuine one, right?
No. But I mean, the thing with Rolex is it's like it's investing in a stock. I mean, I like Rolex. Are they worth the money? No, but if you buy them right, they go up in value. So it's, in a way, it's still a sound decision in my screwed up logic that I use when I buy watches. But no, of course, they cost like $200 to make. But I mean, anybody that works in a corporation knows that there's the cost to build something and the cost that you actually mark it up to. And you have people in corporate America whose salaries and bonuses and all these things have to get paid out. And of course, there's a massive markup. And I mean, what's something worth? Something's worth what people are willing to pay for, right? I mean, a Rolex is worth what somebody's going to give their money for. And if they want to pay 10 grand for a Rolex, then their watch is worth 10 grand, right? And if you don't want to pay 50 bucks for a Vostok, then it's not worth 50 bucks.
It's like, exactly. It's like that Piguet that sold for 9.8, or was it 11.8? I can't remember. It says it all, doesn't it? That watch is not worth that amount of money, but someone paid it, so clearly it is. It's what people are willing to pay. That's what defines the value of things. People saying Rolex is too expensive. Well, it isn't, because people buy them. So the moment people stop buying them is the moment they will reduce their prices. Until then, they're not going to.
God, so many good questions. So this is a good question for all three of us. Which Rolex is most likely going to cost mega bucks in the future? So obviously nobody can predict the future, but history tells us it's the watches that everybody hates when they're new and they make very low numbers on. I would have said the Milgauss, like you just said, Shafir, but those got really kind of a nit watch for a while. I think they made quite a few of those. But I know there's like the green tinted one. I would suspect that's going to be reasonably rare. And it's going to have to be stainless because precious metals never really go anywhere. There's the green sub, like the 2005 or 6 edition one. Those have already gone up. Obviously, the Zenith Daytonas are going crazy, which I don't understand why. But it's going to be anything rare and low production that people hated when it was new. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Like the new Air King, for one, is a great example. New Air King. And I know somebody who actually specifically went out and bought one because everybody hated it. And he at the time said, this will be a classic because nobody likes it.
Yeah.
And it seems to be a thread, doesn't it? If anything, if people look at something when it first comes out and go, yeah, go and buy it. That's what to do. Interesting. I might, talking about a next watch purchase. I mean, I might just wait until the, what's the name of the bloody watch fair thing in March in Geneva? Is it a Baselworld? I might just wait till then. See what gets reintroduced then, and then just literally go and put a deposit down in a shop and say, right, I'll have one. But I think it's easier to say with Rolex, not what it's going to appreciate, but it's probably what's going to be cheap. And probably the cheapest ones is going to be what they are now, and that's like, so what I've got, and that's like the Oyster Perpetuals. Probably won't hold the money so well. The original 36mm Explorer. Now, you never see this watch anymore. It's like almost like not talked about.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if that makes a comeback at some point, but one reasonably cheap. It might be worth you while getting one and just sitting on, just not even telling anyone, just sit on it because they might come back round. You never know. I mean, 36mm for me, 36mm will come back into fashion at some point. And then everybody with their sort of the 45mm Hublots and all that will just look really stupid.
I'm always wearing 36. I love it.
So I think this begs the opposite question. Then, which Rolex would you not buy? And I think by and large, Rolex is a very safe brand to invest in. But I do have to say, and I actually like these things, is I think Cellini is in Rolex world bad investment. And I say this as somebody who wants a Cellini Prince very badly. And every time I get the urge, I think I need to buy a JLC Reverso because it's going to be a safer bet. But for whatever reason, Cellini is like the ugly duckling that nobody wants to touch. And I would still imagine 30 years from now that nobody would want them because it's not traditional Rolex. It's a manual wind, open exhibition case back typically, and it's a thin, non-oyster case watch. And I think in general brands as well, I mean, there's like, even we see this with Omega, people like the Seamaster, they like the Planet Ocean a bit, and they like the Speedmaster. Everything else, they don't really have collectability behind it. And I think it seems to be is if you get outside too much of the formula that made a brand successful, it doesn't really seem to do well in the future and nobody buys it, right? But maybe that's just my thought.
Yeah. And I've just completely forgotten what I was about to say.
I think the Yacht-Master I think the Yacht-Master 2 is going to be a watch that's just going to die completely. It's horrible.
It's like the Porsche. It's like the Porsche 928, right? It's like they tried to do something better than the Submariner in the Rolex world, just like they tried to replace the 911, and the market said, "Screw you, we want what we've always had." There's
you think of the Yacht-Master 1?
I'm thinking the Yacht-Master 1 and the 2. I feel, well, yeah, the Yacht-Master 1 more, but I mean, to me, the Yacht-Master 1 suffers because it's not a Submariner. I like the Yacht-Master 1 a lot.
I think it's doing all right though. Like, especially with the new release. Again, people are on waiting lists apparently. So it's doing all right.
Is that because they've inflated demand with a limited supply? Or I mean, if they had the same availability as you would like a sub, I mean, it's like the Daytona. They screw with the numbers. But I mean, I'm open to hearing otherwise.
I am just an interesting thought. The last time I was in the authorized dealer where I bought my Rolex, I had a little look round and I said, how are things going? And he went, pretty well with the sports Rolex. He said, literally cannot get a sub or a Sea Dweller or a GMT for love nor money. I said, what have you got then? And he said, I've got a Milgauss. He said, and he had 3 Explorer 2s. So it maybe then shows you how much more appreciated the Sub and the GMT is over the Explorer 2. So you could argue that the Explorer 2 is always going to be the sort of, not the poor relative, but almost like the sort of like the kid brother of the sort of the Sub GMT group, if you would. It just tickled me that you had 3 of them, and yet the minute a Sub was in the door, boom, it was gone. So would they be as collectible? You wouldn't have thought so. But, you know, you never can tell. You never can tell. If hindsight's a wonderful thing, hindsight is a wonderful thing. And, you know, something will happen in 15 years' time. We'll all think to ourselves, shit, why didn't we see that coming? You know?
Well, the Zenith Daytona is a perfect example of that, because when I bought my Daytona, I was like, the Zenith is an outhouse movement, and you know, it's the El Primero movement. I mean, it's great, but it's nothing special. I'm going to buy the 4130. It's the first year of the in-house production and all that crap. And I totally screwed up, because now the 4130 is worth less money than the Zenith. I would never have guessed that. I totally missed the market.
Yeah, yeah. But, you know, somebody now will say, well, you know, you were stupid, weren't you? Well, why did you do that? But at the time, you don't. Listen, I'll tell you this now. If I could go back 12 years and spend the money I spent Subaru on Rolex, I would, believe you me. I would have an absolute stonker of a collection now. But hindsight's a wonderful thing. Fast cars done it 10, 12 years ago. They don't do it for me now. And, you know, what do you say to that? It's just one of them things, isn't it? You know, so best not dwell on it.
What do we think about the pre-ceramic Sub? Morgan asked, and I guess that's a question for pre-ceramic in general. So obviously I own the pre-ceramic stuff just because I think it's the good deal, and it hasn't gone up. It's going to start going up in value. It's the time to buy them. But as far as style-wise, and this is kind of a market trend, Omega's gone to ceramic. Even, you know, we see Christopher Ward doing ceramic. What do you guys think about ceramic versus aluminum bezel? I think I actually really like the ceramic, but I don't know. I like the older look of aluminum. What about you guys?
You going to come in, James?
Yeah, sure. I like this. I like the look of ceramic more, but I appreciate pre-ceramic more because it's older. But I think ceramic looks better. I think it looks a lot better personally. It's like the new Daytonas. I don't know if you guys have experienced them. Like the brand new Daytona is just. It's beautiful with the black bezel and the white dial. It is so nice, and I think it looks better than Zenith Daytonas by far, personally. But I would rather own a Zenith Daytona just because I know it's just exploding through the roof in value.
And just to correct that, sorry, Bern, I didn't mean to say the El Primero is a terrible movement. I think I would say the total opposite. The El Primero is an awesome movement, and it speaks volumes that so many manufacturers have used it, especially Rolex. And it's awesome, but you guys know, and I've owned up to this in several things, and I'll continue to get hate for this, is I'm a sucker for in-house movements. And it's not that I think in-houses are always better. I mean, I could definitely name some movements that are in-house that are total crap. But I think, you know, we come down, we've talked about value, which is the elusive thing in the watch world. I mean, to me, if I'm spending a lot of money on a watch, I expect there to be R&D and engineering that went into adding to the value of the watch. And I think that I like that they spent the money and they did all the engineering to make it something in their own best way. So I feel like you're getting added value from it. But again, I'm not insulting the El Primero. There's plenty of movements I would insult, especially some from Cartier and Panerai, but I love the El Primero. Again, that was my thought. Just correct, I'm not causing hate in the El Primero community.
Must admit that the whole ceramic aluminium thing, I'm kind of on the fence a little bit. I do generally I sort of draw more towards new watches. But, you know, I can't say that I would not have a non-ceramic or pre-ceramic, sorry, you know, sports Rolex. Of course I would. So I'm indifferent. I mean, if a good deal come up, it would, and one was it wouldn't bother me. I'd say, right, well, that's a good deal. I'll have it, you know. Until that time, we shall see. And I don't know. It's just one of them. I just kind of don't see myself owning a sports Rolex anytime soon. So I've said it now. So what's going to happen is in about 3 months' time, I'll probably trade my OP in for a for a sports Rolex that I've seen and must have. But there we are.
We all become hypocrites at some point if we stay on YouTube long enough. Sure enough, we'll contradict yourselves. It happens to all of us.
Yeah, of course, of course. There you go. But James, answer me a question. James, how did you get around to having Paul Thorpe on your channel?
He what was it? He was doing that series where he was going to have people on his channel. I don't know if you remember it. Not long before he left, before he quit, and he said he was going to do a series and invite people onto his channel who can be collectors, wannabe dealers, whatever. And I just emailed him, and I was the first person who emailed him, and also he knew of my channel, like he'd seen a few of my videos and stuff, so he invited me on. And since then we've kept in contact as well. Yeah, he gave me a lot of really good advice, and that video was definitely useful for me. And since as well with David from Watch Collectors as well, you know, I'm starting to build a few contacts with the watch dealers around here in the UK, and now watchmakers as well. Got a few contacts building there. It's just trying to just get as much knowledge in as possible, and obviously learning from the people who do it as their job is the best way to go.
Yeah, well, that's very, very true. Yeah, fair enough. Then what was he like then? I've never actually spoken to him. I did actually message him and say that I was going to phone him just after he pulled out of YouTube. But
Oh yeah,
I've actually never got around to it. And I could just imagine phoning his mobile. Hi, Paul, it's Simon Crane from YouTube. He's going to go, who the fuck is this?
I'm sure he'd probably know of you, but yeah, he was a sound guy. He was genuinely a lot of really great information. Like a lot of great information in my opinion. His channel was one of the best out there, for just pure honesty in the watch market. You know, he knew a lot because it was his job to know it. But it was just cool having someone in from that side of it to talk about what's going on. And it's the same with David. It's nice to know what's going on. Yeah, it's nice to know what's going on in the watch dealing market, in my opinion.
And on those two things too, I mean, I tried to get David to join us too after I saw that James was talking to him, so I reached out to him too, and we all were going to have him join us for this chat with all three of us. But he has a life and family, so kudos to him for making the right decision. But the thing, I actually felt bad because Paul joined our last live session, and some of the nonsense in the comments I think kind of scared him out, and I felt bad about that because, to your point too, I mean, I would love to kind of pick his brain and get his insight. There's definitely stuff that they know that I don't know. Thoughts on?
Yeah, he's got.
Go ahead. I was just going to answer Eric's comment. Thoughts on mid-range watches from Junkers, Croft, Zeppelin, Stoa, and Longines. I actually almost bought a Longines yesterday on Archimedes, but I got outbid on eBay, so sad. But I don't know, James, you've had some hands-on experience with some of these things. What do you think?
With what was that? Sorry.
I know you got to see Longines.
Oh yeah,
mid-range German.
Yeah, tried them on a Salon QP. Really, really nice watches. Really, really well built as well. Especially considering some of their entry-level prices are as low as £400, if I'm not mistaken, like £300-400. And you're getting solid Miyota movements, the 9 series as well. So, yeah, I'd say... I'd say definitely pick one up if you got the budget. Definitely. Best watch for $1,000. Tips for a watch for graduation. Oris, pre-owned. That's where I'd say.
Yep. Oris, Hamilton, JDM, Seiko. What about you, Simon?
$1,000 for graduating. I'd be putting it towards a fucking house. I wouldn't be wasting it on a car. No, seriously, I wouldn't even consider that sort of thing when I was. You know, if I was graduating, I never graduated. I just left school at 15 and went straight to work. So, nah, don't be wasting buy a Seiko or a Steinert or something. Don't save the rest of your money. You're going to need it, believe you me, right? Save as much as you can before you're sort of 25 years old, right? Because that money stands you in good stead later on in life. I'm sorry, I'm just putting you up on Instagram.
So,
go ahead.
I was going to say, so on the point of Steinert, because I know, Simon, you're a fan because you've dealt with them. I've not personally dealt with them, but I can't help but feel their pricing, and I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, is fair when you look at what they are, how they're built, and the movements they use. But in terms of a homage watch, like, I don't get it. I don't get why someone would pay that much for a homage watch, personally. I feel like it's a bit. What's your view on that?
I think they're okay. I mean, they're pretty tough, robust watches. I mean, to stand there and feel a Steinhardt and have it in your hand and feel the weight of it and the sort of, it feels like quality, especially next to like a fake Rolex Submariner, like a proper fake, like literally like something you bought in from Hong Kong or Turkey or something like that, which is literally a piece of dross. With that, if you compare it to like a Seiko Sumo, yeah, I suppose the same sort of price, the quality is comparable. What I did like about the Steinhardts, I thought the bracelet, for the money, the bracelets were pretty good. I don't know. I just think they're okay. They're sort of, I know people are going to bash them, and I can understand.
Of course,
that.
yeah. Well, at the end of the day, I own an Alpha. So, I own a homage watch at the lowest rate. And what I'm really, really wanting is someone to reach out to me and be like, James, I've got the Paul Newman from Steinhardt. Like, do you want to compare it to your Alpha? And that's what I really, really want to do, just to see whether that price difference is worth it. You know what I mean? Because the Alpha is pretty decent. Like, I did an honest review about it. The crown's terrible, but other than that, it's a pretty decent watch. You had a bracelet and you sorted. So it's really difficult to justify that price difference of nearly like £700-800.
And my issue,
do you know what I mean?
And my issue with Steinhardt is I don't doubt the quality of Steinhardt. I've heard nothing but wonderful things about them. My issue with Steinhardt is they're not unique. I wish they would focus their marketing energy on doing something that's bespoke to them and had their own feel to it. And I think a lot of German watches like Nomos and Longines, I think a lot of them have done really good at like echoing like the Bauhaus style. I don't know why Steinhardt couldn't do something very unique and Germanic too that makes them stand out instead of a Me Too. Because I think with that kind of a quality, I think that they could do something incredible versus.
That's like saying, but I think Steinhardt's answer to that would be, well, these sell. You know what I mean? Like it's like that high quality replica. Apart from you've got someone else's name on it. It's not illegal. People are okay with you wearing it. I'm not trying to say it's the same as owning a replica, but I'm just saying it's like that would be their answer. People buy them. That's like saying the top quality replica manufacturers, why don't they just make original watches? It's people want them. I think that's why. I think they'll make more money doing that. But I wish they did.
It's kind of like I don't know, some of these sort of kind of weird abstract, like people that tune Porsches, like RUF or something like that. They're a little bit like that. They sort of take something and basically just sort of don't really do that much to it. Take a design, if you would, and then do something,
play around with it a little bit,
almost like the repackaging and the remarketing of it, and make it to a degree, make it their own. Steinhardt's done something. They've either tapped into something very, very cleverly here, as I said earlier in the show. They've tapped into something. They've got this cult underground following, and he's probably not going to change anything because he's thinking to himself, well, I'm doing something right here. People are buying my watches. They are going on eBay for, nigh on what you're buying them from Steinhardt themselves. You can pretty much get your money back on eBay. Some of the watches actually appreciate secondhand, which is just nuts. And whatever Steinhardt's doing, why is he going to change? He's thinking to himself, this is working right now. This is wonderful.
Would you advise them over an equally priced Oris?
Well, is there equally priced Oris? Because let's be fair. I mean, a Steinhardt's 300, like the sort of Submariner homage Steinhardt's are just over 300 quid, I believe they are, about £350. Do Oris do a diver's watch that cheap? No, they don't. You get a decent pre-owned one for about 600 quid, an Oris that is, but it's still not 300 quid. I mean, that's still sort of, for people maybe just getting into watches, and they're taking them sort of incremental steps up to go from, I'll buy this new from the manufacturer for 350 quid, or do I go on eBay and buy a second-hand Aquis for sort of 600 quid? For a lot of people, that's a no-brainer. They're just going to buy the new one, play around with it, and see where they go with that.
I think it's a like a platform watch onto the next thing. I think that's what Steinhardt's are. It's like the same, just on a cheaper level. You know, it's what people get when they get started and then move on.
So
Usually.
here's a good question. So we're getting a question about what do we think about Fortis, and the question is, do we think that they are on the same level as Zen and Oris? I like Fortis in terms of, I like kind of the design of them. I think of them as kind of like a cheaper Bell and Ross. I don't think of them as being special in terms of their movements or the product itself, but I like the styling. They're well made, and what I think why I like them is because the people I've seen wear them have all been pilots. The last couple times I've seen Fortis has been on a pilot, and I've actually seen them like sitting in the cockpit wearing it. So the emotional side of me connects it to pilots and aviation, and that does it for me. But I'd say, you know, I think compared to like a Hamilton or an Oris, I think typically they tend to be more money, and I don't think you're getting more for your money at the price point. I just think, you know, you're buying the design, but they're very kind of ambiguous, and I don't see a lot of people wearing them. So I don't. That's kind of my basic thoughts.
I think
some of the. Go ahead. I'm reading.
I'm looking sideways here, wondering what you're looking at. I'm looking at my sort of cushion.
I'm looking at the comments scrolling.
I'm looking up at the comments too.
It's hard not to, because I've got my phone, say, just sat just beside the tablet screen here, eh? So I'm sort of like, and looking back towards you. But the thing is with the likes of Fortis, I mean, they're okay. I mean, and a great website to look at a lot of these sort of micro brands, if you would, is Dura Watches in England. And I think for a lot of people, you can, when you go through your little journey, you go down the basics of your tags and your Oris and the sort of thing you see in your shopping centres quite regularly. And then you do start to look sideways at the likes of Sin, Fortis. I bought a Master Singer about 4 years ago. One of the Master Singer Paragraph, the one-handed watch, with just the one single hand on it. And I think we can get into that little thing where you try and sort of think outside the box and go down the micro brand route. Eventually, though, I think you end up just sort of going past that and getting back onto the sort of the main sort of passageway, if you would, the main sort of route to sort of to Rolex ownership, I suppose. But Fortis, yeah, they make some interesting designed watches, as do Sin, who I've always had a sort of an admiration for. I just like the look of some of their stuff. And I like Damasco and what they're doing with their sort of brand. Again, you know, they're sort of a ramped up version of Steinhardt in the respect that they, you know, they've got that sort of cult underground following Damasco have, and they're making their own steel. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Damasco are actually a steelwork first and foremost, and then a watchmaker second. If I'm not mistaken, and I like the idea of that. I really do.
You know more about that than I do, to be honest. Yeah, there's so many brands out there that you kind of like see on the radar occasionally, but don't really have a strong identity. So it tends to be with those things. You don't buy it because somebody's recommended it to you. You buy it because there's just something emotional about it that you connect with, and it's not. You're not buying it for the investment. You're not buying it for what makes it up. You're buying it because it just speaks to you, and it's kind of hard to justify it. But we kind of have a mutual respect for them. It sounds like.
Yeah, it's I think you sort of in that, you know, definitely in that thing where think, well, I'm just going to buy what I like, and I really like the look of this, and it's I think a lot of the time you can look at a watch on, for argument's sake, the likes of Dura Watches on a website like that, and you think you see these sort of brands come up, and there's regular brands, your Jousies, Omegas, Grand Seiko, and then they'll sell Sin or Damasco, and you think, well, they're being lumped in together with sort of with these other brands, so they must be okay. This particular sort of watch dealer has, you know, sort of bought them in, and there you go. And I don't know. It's I wouldn't mind. I would dabble in a Sin or Damasco at some point, just for a bit of fun. But definitely wouldn't buy one of them new, though. I don't think you definitely have your fingers burnt reselling something by Sin or Damasco. I think I noticed a Sin U1 on eBay a couple of months ago, which over here are about £1,150 brand new, and he was struggling to get sort of £750 for it. So It was like 6 months old. So, you know, maybe definitely a decent second-hand bargain, but not brand new. It's so difficult to talk to you and then sort of try not to look at the comments at the same time.
I get anxious if I feel like we're avoiding people in the comments. So,
I think most of them are talking between themselves at the moment. Yeah.
Boy. There was a question about buying high-end watches certified pre-owned. And to me, there's two different schools of thought. And I think it depends on your definition of high-end. If you're talking about like a grand complication like Tourbillon, that to me, getting something with a warranty is very much in your best interest. But if we're talking about like watches like, Omega, Rolex, or more, typical high-end, I would actually buy one gray market or buy one from somebody you trust, like in the watch forums, and save a bunch of money, because I think the money you pay extra for retail you could save in case it breaks and pay for damages and still save yourself some money. I think because your odds are in your favor, it's going to be fine. But if I was buying some super delicate watch, or even like an Audemars Piguet, like I would be terrified of owning an Audemars Piguet without a warranty. Like there's just no way. I'd be guaranteed to be crying the second something broke. So I think that's, I think it depends on the watch. But that's my thought. I don't know what you guys think.
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I'd say that was one of the moments where it just completely went out of my head what I was going to say. The trouble is the chat is moving too fast. I know, yeah.
Yeah.
I've said nothing. What was the question again?
Buying a high-end watch with like a certified pre-owned warranty.
Yes and no. I mean, it depends, doesn't it? I mean, certified pre-owned warranty. Says who? Says who? This is the thing, isn't it? It says who? It says the guy that you're buying it from. Believe me, I mean, I'm in retail. I know all the tricks, and I call bullshit on some of these, some of this stuff. I'll tell you what I would do though, is regards buying pre-owned. And you mentioned the forums, but this is where like the Facebook groups come into their own. You get to know the guys in the groups. Now, if one of the guys in Andy Doe, right, he's bought his Aquaterra, right? If I wanted an Aquaterra and he wanted to sell it, I'd buy it off him because I know where he bought it from. And this is the thing, there's like a paper trail all the way back to the dealer. But if you're buying off some guy who's certified it, and you think, well, where's he got it from? He's got it from some guy who's got it from, a grey dealer who's got it from Greece, or wherever. Where does the paper trail end? It's like, I mean, back to my friend Lord David. If he said to me, look, I'll sell you one of my, I wasn't one for buying like a pre-owned Rolex, but if he turned around to me and said, I'll sell you one of mine, I know that he's bought his from, what particular shop in the north of England. And I know that he's looked after it. So therefore it would make it easier for me to buy it pre-owned. I wouldn't need to take it to a shop to get it checked or care too much about a sort of a wee certificate to say it was okay. You knew a bit of the sort of history of the watch, whereas, to buy it from just a sort of a certified dealer, it's, I don't know. It's like one of these things that we all laugh about in the butchery trade. Every butcher is an award-winning one. Every butcher sells award-winning sausages or award-winning steak pies or something like that. I've never, ever entered this fucking competition in my life. So I don't know where these guys do, right? It's one of them things. Oh, he's award-winning butcher. Where? And it's kind of that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Or it's
self-tiled.
And that says who?
Yeah, self-tiled.
You don't know that Submariner isn't Rolex Submariner isn't two Submariners that have been mashed into one. You don't know that the previous owner, completely genuine Submariner, may have thrown it against the wall a dozen times the day before he's selling it to you or sold it to the dealer.
I do feel like YouTube, that's where YouTube's coming into play a bit more, because we're seeing more dealers. I know there's only been a few, but more dealers coming into the YouTube space to like make videos and do stuff like that. And I think that's going to increase the what do you call it? Like your trust to do that. If they're putting their reputation on the line by making these videos and putting their name out there and putting everything out there, I think you're much more likely to trust them. So people like David from Watch Collectors, Paul from them. I think you're more likely to trust them personally. Over, like you're saying, someone who just calls himself a certified dealer. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, you've got to remember when you're dealing with, you know, and I don't wish to slate Paul Thorpe. This is a kind of a little bit of a constructive criticism. He made some great videos, but he is, after all, trying to sell things.
Of course.
So, for argument's sake, if he you know, sort of said, well, I think this will be this particular type of model will be extremely collectible. And by the way, here's one that I've got for sale. You know, you have to sort of take that with a little bit of a pinch of salt. I'm not saying the guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He's forgotten more than what I'll ever know. But when somebody is a dealer, somebody has a vested interest in selling stuff, they're going to tilt the narrative towards what suits them.
I don't think that's the case with everyone, though. Do you feel like that is the case with everyone, or
you're talking to somebody that sells stuff for a living?
As do I.
Yeah.
But I still feel like it comes down to you as a person, how you hold your integrity. You know, at the end of the day, I work for Watch Station. I sell Michael Kors. You know what I mean? But if people ask me honestly, I'm like, no. Buy a Boulevard or a Citizen that we sell instead, or better yet, go online and get a Seiko. Like, at the end of the day, I know that seems ridiculous, but if you're like, I'm reading a book right now called what's it called? Customer loyalty is pointless, and customer satisfaction is pointless, and customer loyalty is priceless, or something like that. Whereas, like, we're living in this backwards world of marketing where it's about making the sale right now rather than making a customer happy and creating a sale down the road. You know what I mean? I think it depends on the dealer. It depends on their attitude towards marketing and selling, and depends on the person. If they're like that, then yeah, of course, they're gonna bend the narrative to make the sale. But
yeah, I mean, you definitely buy the salesman.
Yeah, 100%.
You do buy the salesman. It's as simple as that. I mean, I've seen it I've got customers that specifically want me to serve them. The other guys that I work with have got people that, you know, people that want them to serve them, and it's just the way it is. I think we hit a big slump with the supermarkets, basically being this sort of faceless, you know, very sort of process. The customers were just being processed out the door, if you would. And a lot of people have sort of gone back the way to the old fashioned. I want to go down to this particular shop where I know the name of the guy that's serving me. He knows what I like. You know, that is across all retail, from buying cars, watches. I mean, there's a very, very good chance if I went and bought another brand new watch, I'm going to walk straight back into the authorized dealer that I bought the OP from and speak to the same guy because I liked him and I had a rapport with the guy. And that's just the way it is. That's human nature to want that sort of, you know, that interaction. I expect Paul Thorpe has got, 3 or 4 dozen very, very loyal customers, people that he sits and has a coffee with, and a lot of which are probably friends to him.
Yeah.
And that's how he goes about his business. If you watch Time Machines with Tom Bolt, it was the same. You know, he meets the guy and greets him with a hug. This isn't just a punter. This is somebody who's become a mate of his, and that rapport is priceless. If you can, and that takes sometimes a long time to build that up. And if the guy's going to give you $5 grand for a watch more than what you paid for it, you are going to give him a hug. But
so,
you know,
I just have to. I'm watching the comments here, Billy. The reason that James is on the show is apart from the fact that he's a good friend of mine, and I needed a moderator to cut out bullshit comments. Is he actually knows what he's talking about? And when I create these live sessions, here's the deal. I'm sure a lot of people watch me and think that I'm arrogant and think I know all the answers, but I know what I know, but I also know I have biases, and I know that, you know, the 2 gentlemen that you see on the channel today and who I have on the channel with me all have valid perspectives based on what they've seen. You know, both Simon and James have owned a ton of watches. They've had experience with a ton of watches, and they come from different set of circumstances and perspectives to me. And I think when you guys come together, we're different age groups. We have different collection experiences. I think we're all giving valuable input. And, you know, James, I know, is very much kind of the same group where we're kind of nerds and we retain ridiculous facts, and he knows his shit. And I think if you watch some of the older live chats, I think you'll come to that conclusion. So I'd recommend you take a look at his channel, watch some of the live chats, and I think you'll see he knows what he's talking about.
I think it's.
Shafir, thank you so much for tuning in.
Yeah, take care. I think it's one of those. The thing with age, whilst we're on it, is it's one of those things. It's not new. It's nothing new to me. You know, I sell watches. I used to do door-to-door sales. I used to do all these crazy shit that no one likes doing. You know what I mean? And people just don't trust because of age a lot of the time. And then people are usually insecure about something. That's what I've noticed over the years. You know, there's something that they're so insecure about that age is like they're, okay, if the person's not over 30, I can't trust them. It's like, it's just so strange to me, but fair enough. You know, some people are like that, but oh well.
It's a democracy. You can vote. We don't,
exactly.
Ignore any of us if you want to. We're just here to talk about watches and have a good time and answer questions. So
exactly. All right, and what questions we got?
Yeah, guys, we've been really bad at ignoring you. So what can we talk about? How can we help you guys? So sorry.
I'm just reading Trevor's comment here. I don't agree with Simon on skipping Longines and Oris. Trevor is where's the comment? There it is. Trevor is I think you're a fireman, if I'm not mistaken, Trevor. And he's very much one of these guys who, again, buys what he likes. He knows his sort of where he is. And I think, Trevor, correct me if I'm wrong, you have a Longines Legend Diver, which he absolutely loves. And I like that in a guy. He's sort of, I've got a lot of respect for this guy, even though we disagree all the time. And yeah, he gets to that level. He knows what he likes. He likes his Longines, likes his Oris. And, you know, he's stuck at that, and that's fine. That's great. He likes that. Sell them, Trevor. Sell them and buy an Omega. Go on, I dare you.
Morgan, what do we think about bronze divers? So bronze is like is a current trend now. I mean, like we went through the whole supersized watch thing. Now it seems like bronze is like the new big thing. I know that they're really popular, and I know that a lot of you guys are a big fan of the Tudor bronze. And I have to say that I really like them, although in the Tudor's case, I don't like that they did the plated case back on it. I get why they did it in terms of bronze coming in contact with skin, but I don't know. Bronze is a material I like, and I'd actually rather have a bronze watch than a gold-plated watch. I would love to see bronze replace all these gold-plated things in the market. That would make me very happy. You know, bronze is, I think it's cool because I think if you like watches like you like a machine, bronze is something they use like a mechanical thing. So there's like that instant connection to like watchmaking and industry, and I think bronze is an awesome material for that. I don't know if it's really going to be a trend now. And like, if I was investing in watches, I'd be pretty hesitant to buy one just because I don't know that there's a long-term market there. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, I've seen the Tudor Black Bait bronze, which is £2,700 retail in Britain. I have seen that on Watchfinder, pre-owned, for £3,400. I've got to say, I love the look of bronze divers watches. Steinhardt do a couple of bronze ones. I know Oris do the Carl. Oh, what's the guy's name?
Carl Brashear.
That's the one. Cuba Gooding Jr. played him in a movie, didn't he?
Yeah.
And the Tudor Black Bay bronze. I love that watch. I agree with Jay though. They are a, you know.
I reckon they'll be gone within a few years. They're not going to keep doing them, in my opinion.
No, it's very much like, yes, it's very much like this sort of this push towards sort of bigger watches. I think that would recede back down to sort of 40, 41 mil in the next sort of 3 or 4 years. But for now, I like the look of them. And again, if you can afford to get one, you like the look of it, and you can afford to buy it, just buy it, and you give a shit what it's worth in 10 years' time. So make note, we've said there's no long-term future in bronze watches, so watch them all rocket in value. Now we've said
100%. Eric just said 6 years in the Navy, had to clean a lot of bronze and brass. I'd never buy either in a watch. Absolutely no way. And that's one thing I think a lot of people don't realize, like how bronze patinas. It's not. I personally don't understand the appeal. Personally, I don't understand the appeal in that sort of patina. Like, I love patina, but that sort of patina is just weird. It's like you're literally having something corrode massively on your wrist. Like, no, thank you.
So here's an awesome question. Give the opinion on Swiss-made versus Japanese-made, basically Grand Seiko versus Swiss competitors in particular. I like your opinions on the quality and thus intrinsic value of the watches themselves. So this is going to be good because I think we all have our own biases, and I think you guys all know that my bias is pro-Japanese and everything. I say that wearing and owning several Swiss watches. My gut feeling is the Japanese, quality-wise and reliability-wise and long-term, is better than the Swiss. But I would say if you're buying something for retained value, the Swiss win hands down. And if you're looking for something to keep for 40 years and find service parts for it and be able to sell it again, Swiss is the only way to go. I would be afraid of owning a vintage Grand Seiko and having to get it serviced. But I think the Japanese are really good at making things very simple and very reliable. I think Europeans, and this is just in my experience of what I've seen, I think they tend to take things and they make things a little bit more complicated and a little bit more prone to servicing than they need to be, whereas the Japanese try to define things in very simple terms and make the best quality product with the least amount of parts in the most reliable way. But I think they don't have the brand recognition that the Swiss do, and they don't have the service structure or the brand retention that the Swiss do to cover that.
I think
my thoughts.
I think if you look at how Seiko's gone over the years and how much things have changed, I think this whole thing of your money's retained in Swiss, that's always going to be the case. But I think it is going to change, and I think you're going to start seeing Seiko and Grand Seiko start taking a bit more of a lead. I truly do. I think some of their models, like the Snowflake, is going to be worth more. I really do. Down the line, 10, 20 years, I think we're going to start seeing that change. Saying it here first.
So the question is,
please.
Seiko or Rolex? To be fair, I'll probably buy a JLC. I don't think I would forego. I would buy a Grand Seiko before I bought a JLC. I'd probably buy the JLC. In fact, I'd probably definitely say I'd buy a JLC before a Grand Seiko.
As would I.
Yeah, just as you say, it's got everything. It's got the pedigree. It's a fine level of horology as well. Why not? And it would hold its value a little bit better for those of you that absolutely must have value retention.
Jonathan, you've asked me an extremely dangerous question. Are you pro-Japanese when it comes to cars like Lexus or Infiniti? I know I've said this occasionally. Watches, passion level for me are like maybe 50%. Cars is stratospherically off the scale, my biggest passion. And I got to be very careful because I could turn this entire conversation about cars. And yes and no. So I own a Lexus, and I do have a big, strong feeling for Japanese cars. I think my two favorite companies would be Toyota and General Motors. But I've owned everything. I've owned several BMWs, German cars, and I think depending on the time period in the car, there's best in class. I think Mercedes made the best cars in the world up until the early 90s, and I think the quality got crap. And if you said the 90s, I'd say BMW made awesome cars. If you said the 2000s, I'd say Toyota and Japanese were building the best cars. And now I'd say it's kind of the Japanese and somewhat the Americans in my thought. But, cars, I think, is very much like watches, that there's just certain ones that there's just the lines and that the personality really speaks to you and sucks you in. And I currently own a Japanese and a German car, or a Japanese and an American car, and I have room for 2 more parking spots, and I would happily fill it up with a British or a German car to balance the collection. So I just don't want to do all the oil changes and maintenance. But I think it depends on what are we asking. But I do think if I had to drive across the country tomorrow, I would, and I was going to drive like a 20-year-old car, I'd probably be more comfortable in a Japanese car than a German car for sure, and maybe an American car at the same age. I don't know.
Oh dear, cars. Oof. I don't know. I think I would have to say I would go German over Japanese, I'm afraid. Mind you, you're talking about, I've had a Porsche 911 996, a Porsche 911 964, Carrera 4.
Okay, great generation. Yep.
That was a sort of pinnacle for me having that. I owned it for 8 months. And great motor, but glad that I bought it. Glad when I sold it, though.
It's worth more money now, though.
Sorry? What was that? Sorry?
It's worth a lot of money now. It's worth a lot of money now. The air cooled have gone up like crazy.
Yeah, the one that I had is now north of £20,000. I bought mine for 12 and sold it for about 10. And that was in 2008. So if I'd kept hold of it, it would have doubled in value. Having said that, it would have probably cost me about 25 grand over the last 10 years just to maintain it. Leaked like it just oil, it just dripped oil constantly. And yeah, it was a great car. Just this, you know, it smelled great. It really did. If I can't, but in the late 90s, early 90s, I had a white BMW 325 coupe.
E36 generation. Those are great cars.
Yep, E36. With
I had a 328. I love that car.
Yeah, dark blue interior, dark blue leather interior. I loved that car. So I had a Lotus Elise. Lotus, as you may or may not know, stands for lots of trouble, usually serious. That is country.
Especially the Esprit, right?
Oof. Yeah, I heard some things about that. I was telling Don Haynes earlier, talking about cars. Nick Mason, the Pink Floyd drummer, bought one of the Ferrari Enzos, or he was offered a Ferrari Enzo when they first come out, which would have been, 10 or 12 years ago now. And after 700 miles, it needed a new clutch, and Ferrari told him it wasn't on the warranty.
It's a wear item.
Damn, it just, oh, God. But my Subaru was the big one. I had that for 5 years. It was just such a practical, everyday car that was like shit off a stick. And great motor, but oh my God, did I sink some money into that thing? Please, just, if you're a young man now, don't spend your money modifying cars. It is just not worth it. Buy a Pepsi dial GMT and save yourself a lot of bother. I think I worked out that what I spent between 2004 and 2006, I could have bought 4 Submariners back then, brand new. Something now would be worth about 15 grand, 16 grand between them. Just eye-watering amount of money. I mean, come on, 1,500 quid for an exhaust. And again, this is like sort of 10, 11 years ago.
This is why I have a Chevrolet Corvette. It's still a Chevy. It's not cheap. It's pretty cheap to fix.
Yeah. The thing is with the Subaru was the insurance was high. The Lotus, the insurance was low. The petrol was high on the Subaru, and the petrol was not too bad for the Lotus because it was kind of small and economical. It was small and light. So, but it was the servicing for the Lotus was a lot, and the servicing for the Subaru was very reasonable. Yeah, just it was just one of them things you couldn't sort of. There was good things about this, good things about that, and the Subaru was just the sort of right amount of everything for me. But boy, did I waste some dough on that car. Oh,
I love the STI and the WRXs. Those are cool cars.
Yeah, it was the WRX I had. Just
Boxer motor. You seem to have a trend there.
What was that?
You like the Boxer engine, apparently. You had the 911 and then you had the WRX. You like the Boxer style engines.
Absolutely. I was just thinking that what would be an interesting car. Have you ever heard of Bristol?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, interesting stuff. I'm sure the name of the guy that started Bristol was Tony Crooks. And he was just basically this old eccentric. And the rumor has it that they've got one showroom in a swanky part of London. And if he didn't like the look of you, you didn't get in the showroom. It just literally the door was locked. He'd sort of look up from his desk, don't let him in. Very much sort of built cars for sort of old money. I mean, the sort of if a pop star sort of rocked up with this, an afro and a sort of floral pashmina or something like that, you go, no, not happening. And I believe what he used to do when they had the big car shows in London, he would go outside and he'd get like a down and out, like a tramp, and he would pay the tramp to go and sit on the Rolex, to sit on the Rolls Royce stand at the car show and go and hassle the Rolls Royce people. Pay the guy to go and do it, and just that wonderfully eccentric sort of English way. And I just want one of his cars. I just want a Bristol just because of them stories. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, I had the same kind of interest in like your TVRs as well, even though I know that they're unreliable and scary. I like the TVRs.
I test drove a Camaro. I
Yeah.
test drove a
What
couple of
year?
Camaros and give it a body swerve. One wouldn't start when I went to test drive it. And I had a passenger ride in a Camaro around Knockhill Racing Circuit over in Fife, not too far from me. I have never been so terrified in my life. This thing, literally, it's like a dragon. It was fire breathing. This thing, it just shuddered constantly. It literally, like, you know, the window winder was sort of like ready to fall off, and I think this thing's going to fall apart. Bang! Away it went. No ABS, no power steering. The guy sort of driving it, forearms like Popeye around the corners, and I was like, off. You know, you blew past a Porsche Boxster, and I thought, that Porsche Boxster blew past me when I was driving the Subaru. You know, and did I have the? No, I tell you, I never had the Subaru. I had the Lotus then. Absolutely, just terrifying cars. A real purist's car, if ever there was one.
We're getting yelled at for getting too much into cars now. So here's a question to relate us back. So the question that we got was, how do we feel about watch brands sponsoring car relationships? And I was actually just talking about this with a friend of mine who's a massive IWC collector. You'll see more of his stuff on the channel. We were talking about how dumb it is. You can get a tourbillon in your Breitling Bentayga, or what is it, Bentayga now. Like you can get a tourbillon like clock in your Bentley for like $250,000, which is absurd. And I was reminding him that it's kind of ironic because you're in love with IWC, and what does IWC do? They put all these clocks in the Mercedes AMG cars. Well, they brand them, right? And then, yeah, so Breitling and Bentley and Mercedes and AMG with IWC. Is there any other ones I'm missing out there? I personally think it's kind of really silly, but I'm curious what you guys think.
Watch design as well.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't really care. The one thing that does worry you, of course, is you look at that and think, you know, when I'm buying your watch, how much the purchase price is going towards all this fanfare. I mean, you know, you can look at Bremont, who evidently spend a lot of money on marketing. They're backed. I can't remember who it is, but the two English brothers, Giles and Nick English, they're not the money behind Bremont. There's somebody floated his company on the stock market, and he's pumped millions into Bremont to help them with the marketing. And it's some stupid firm. It's literally, it's like, you know, Tunnock's Tea Cakes or something like that. And yeah, you can see there where that marketing push and the, you know, the aviation connection and whatnot. And you think to yourself, you know, how much in the sort of £3,000 Bremont is going towards marketing? How much has been research and development? I bet you half of it goes towards marketing. Telling you it does.
Yep, it does.
Not only that, you know, like Porsche design. I wouldn't want to own one of their watches if I don't own a Porsche. I think that's so like cheesy if you're walking around with a Porsche design watch and you don't drive a Porsche. You know what I mean? It's like Breitling for Bentley or whatever it was. You know, if you don't own a Bentley, you'd feel like a bit of a dork. You know what I mean? It's like that's how I feel with Porsche design, and it's sad because they're made by Eterna, and they're really good watches at a really good price. Like secondhand, you can pick them up at an absolute steal, and you're getting so much watch because they're made by Eterna. But it says Porsche on it, so for me, it's like a no-go. Do you guys feel the same?
Well, it's like I look back. So when I had like a bunch of these BMWs, I had all the BMW apparel that goes with it. Like I have the jackets and stuff that still had the BMW roundel on it. And you couldn't pay me $100. You couldn't pay me $100 to go wear one of those in public. Now I feel like a total asshole for wearing it. Because it's like there's the stereotypes about people that buy branded stuff to show off what they own. It's like the same guys you see wearing the Ferrari hats. It's like, are you a fan of Ferrari racing, or are you trying to pretend like you belong to a club? And it's like, I don't know. Like I now have a massive opposition to it. And somebody just reminded me that Ferrari does a lot of sponsorships, and like the Ferrari sponsored watches, like the Girard Perregaux and the Panerai, those things are like worthless in comparison to even their mainline Girard and Panerai, the same era. I mean, like the Ferrari brand actually like killed some of these watches, and they're super cheap now. It's really interesting how some of this stuff plays out.
Yeah, I've noticed that with a lot of the pre-owned Gerard-Perregaux. It's all Ferrari related, and you thought, well, that looks nice. It says Ferrari on the dial. I'm not buying it.
Yeah, it's like watches that have football clubs on it. Don't Hublot do that? I know they did one for Leicester City when they won. Like, who's buying that and wearing it other than maybe the players? Like, it's just mad. Like, why would you put a football team on a watch?
What about a Mickey Mouse Rolex? Those were popular for a while.
Yeah, but that's cool. That's cool. I don't want that.
That's cool. That's cool. I would pull a Mickey Mouse Rolex out of Disney World.
The best of it is, James, the best of it is that the Leicester City branded Hublots probably didn't even get sold. They were probably just given by Hublot to the Leicester City players who, all these guys on 100 grand a week. Probably they probably just go in with the other sort of 30 watches that they've got, and they don't really care.
No. It was in the window at Lumbers for fucking ages. Literally, it was just sitting there, and it was just disgusting. It was just this blue Hublot, and they could not move it. They had a proper, like, the glass had been, like, had the design all done, and it was on its own stand, like, taking up a whole advertising section for nothing. It was just hilarious seeing it there and it not budge.
Nah, just wouldn't thank you for one. I must admit, I really wouldn't thank you for one.
No.
And it was like there was a robbery in Glasgow a couple of years ago. Rox, the jewelers in Argyle Arcade, got turned over, and they made away with about a dozen Hublots and 2 or 3 Bell and Ross watches. And apparently they caught the guys because they were flashing. They were in the pub that night, and they were flashing the Bell and Ross watches off.
Idiots.
Smash a jeweler's window and nick the Hublots and the Bell and Ross, but I don't actually think they recovered the Hublots, so they were probably stolen to order.
Yeah.
Why? Why?
People would do anything, wouldn't they?
I gather we all kind of feel the same way here, but for the record, I don't like Hublot at all. I think they're gaudy and they're whatever. But I'm kind of getting the sense there's not a lot of love in this community from either of you two either. But I'd love to hear what you guys think of them. To me, I just think they're garish. They don't do anything for me. But I say that, and I like Audemars Piguet Rolex or Piguet Rolex. So it's like I'm aware of that, and I've worn some. It's completely different, and I've worn some enormous Invictus too, like a moron. But I still liked them. So what do I know? I'm a hypocrite.
If you're going to spend 7, 8, 9, 10 grand on a watch that looks like an AP Royal Oak, buy a fucking AP Royal Oak. Simple as that. I don't get the Hublot thing. I like the Fusion, the sort of very simple one that they do, the Hublot Fusion, but it's for me, it's a woman's watch. It might be 43, 44 mil, but there's something sort of very kind of womanish about it. I know a friend of mine's a car dealer, and his wife wears a Hublot Fusion. He incidentally wears a fake Breitling. There you go. But no, not my cup of tea. I mean, for the money, if you've got, whatever, there's a hierarchy of watches to buy, whatever price range you're at, and if you're looking at 10K. For argument's sake, on a watch, there's a dozen other things you can buy before you buy a Hublot.
It doesn't make any sense that Hublot sells for them prices, yet Corum really doesn't. And I put Corum and Hublot in the same bag. They're complete garbage and horrible. And yet Corum, you'll see secondhand, literally in Lumbers. I'm always in Lumbers. In Lumbers right now, they got one secondhand for like £1,200, and they retail for like £8 grand. I swear. Like, they just can't. So this is incredible depreciation.
So here's kind of 2 things that just came to my mind. Since we were talking about like sponsorship between watches and cars, I'm just thinking this would be a good question for you guys. I think I know where James or you feel, but like marketing that companies have done really well. And just on the Hublot thing, the one watch company that I have the most amount of hate for by far is Jacob & Company. I think they make the most gaudy, overpriced watches I've ever seen in my life. But like, I realize that marketing sometimes works. And like the whole reason that I bought like my GMT Master or I bought my Breitlings is like Breitling in particular, the aviation connection, they've totally sucked me into that. Like every time I see like a Lockheed Super Constellation with the Breitling logo on the side, I like get all like emotional inside. And it's like, I want to pull out the Navitimer or focus on Breitling. So like, what companies do you think really know their audience and really did the marketing well to draw in that audience?
Tag Heuer. I think Tag Heuer have got marketing literally spot on. I'm not a fan of Tag Heuer, but gee, how are they even still alive? Like, you know what I mean? Like, after that whole crisis during the 90s and early 2000s, and yet they're still going after literally doing illegal stuff with movements. You know what I mean? Like, blatant illegal things, and yet they're still around today. Like, and they have such a massive following. Like, you see people go up to windows who don't know about watches, and they're more drawn to Tag Heuer over Omega. And it's just like, they've got it so right. They really have. Like, that's the marketing that's just so switched on. And I can't help but think if other brands just sort of took a leaf out of the book and just went, okay, let's just, let's try and copy that. Like, where they'd be, because they actually produce good stuff. Whereas Tag Heuer, well, to be fair to them, their new stuff is pretty good. It's definitely not terrible, but it's overpriced. So that's mine.
So what about you, Simon?
Well, I mean, I suppose the other sort of obvious one is Rolex. That they've got some pretty tough but basic movements that they use. They have that sort of talent of being able to control the market in the respect that they don't over sort of produce watches. They know when to sort of rein it all in and keep demand up. They do that rather well. There was a very good point there about Tag. Actually, they're just so everywhere, aren't they? Every billboard, every. But I will say this: you say about the new movements in some of the tags, and I've mentioned this before, right? We hear about the the micro girder and this movement and what about the tourbillon that they do? Where are they? I can walk into tomorrow. I can walk into any one of those in the two closest shopping centres to me. Right, they all sell Tag. I can get 45 minutes of them in the centre of Edinburgh. There's another 3 authorised dealers, all sell Tag. You never see these sort of almost like unicorn watches, the micro girder this and the the tourbillon one, blah blah blah.
I've never seen one either.
Tell me movements, but where are they? We never see them.
Well, so somebody else just brought up another brand, thinking of just like these marketing connections, which is Richard Mille.
Oh, Richard Mille,
well,
yeah.
I saw that too, yeah. Yeah, so Richard Mille, they always do these like sports collaborations. I know we've talked about these on previous live sessions, like the tennis players. There's always like these pro athletes get given tons of these things for free. And I say tons because the thing with Richard Mille that I've heard, besides the abysmal resale value, is that they're really unreliable and really fragile. And like literally they'll just keep replacing these watches for these athletes because like one bad knock and the watch is like destroyed. But I guess I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts too. By the way, hey, Chinaman Champ, is that they use like a carbon fiber case, which is kind of cool, and they have very much the same kind of design language, which Rolex is Oyster. Richard Mille has a very distinct language to their brand, which I appreciate. But when I think of them, I think of watches that they basically hoard out to sports players that are unreliable and massively overpriced. But what do you guys think?
I don't really look at Richard Mille because it's so out there price wise that it's of little interest to me. But I know what you're saying, and as you say, they're big on their branding as well. I know they sponsor Le Mans. I think they sponsor one of the historic Le Mans races anyway. But as you say, they're not. We're not their target audience. Mille knows where his target audience is.
Yeah, I think people with
Sorry, no, well, I was going to say it is like Felipe Masses and the Cristiano Ronaldos of this world, and the tennis player that wears one. It's not. They're not aimed anywhere near us. We don't even aspire to own a Richard Mille. It's never going to happen.
But it's so clever. It's so clever. They're so clever. So Louis Vuitton, so Tag Heuer. Like, they've realized, hey, guess what? Fashion brands like Michael Kors appeal to a lot of people because they're into fashion. What about the stupidly wealthy people who want that same sort of thing where they can say, hey, I own this. It's like, it's a fashionable thing to own, but they don't want to be seen with a £200 watch. They want a 200 grand watch. They want to be part of that exclusive club. Like, they literally are premium fashion brands. And they've been so clever by doing it that way. I really do think so, because you've got people who don't know about watches, athletes who don't really care, but it's the thing to own if you're that rich. It's like an exclusive club and it's an exclusive fashion brand for the stupidly wealthy. I think Louis Vuitton are doing the same thing with their watches. It's clever.
I think you touched on something too. It's people with a lot of money that don't know a lot about watches, though. Because like if you know a lot about watches and you're going to go blow that kind of money, you'd be looking at like Parmigiani Fleurier or higher-end Jacques Dras or F.P. Journe, or you'd be looking at a higher-end Lange, or I mean, if you wanted to be like you're talking about the $9 million Patek. I mean, those would give you a lot more status in the watch community than a Richard Mille would be. You're buying because
that's not what they care about,
on TV, and that's exactly that's not what they care about. You're right on.
Because to them, they want to show something off that everyone knows is so expensive. You know, that's the whole point of it. When they put up that Instagram post, they're not looking for all of us on YouTube to make a video like, isn't it cool that he owns this watch? They don't care. They want every kid who's out there going, wow, that's like a 300 grand watch on his wrist. That's so cool. Like, that's what they want, and that's what they're achieving. It's clever.
But how ridiculous do some of these people look wearing these gargantuan sort of titanium and glass case? The guy that's the I think the one of the team principals in the Formula One wears one. Is it Christian Horner?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, from Red Bull. The presenter of the Formula One TV BBC presenter, he wears one. It looks fucking ridiculous on him. It looks ridiculous. Look at what's his name, Thierry Henry, when he's on Sky Sports with that stupid Hublot thing. It's like that sort of skin tone color. It's horrible. And you think to yourself, why is it we get up to like Patek? And I've said this before, we get up to like Patek and it's still all very, very formal, very conservative. Vacheron as well. Some of the more basic looking AP. All very sort of formal and classic looking. And then you go beyond that and the design is just out there. It becomes just, stupidly sort of widespread and these awful
it's literally
things.
Fashion brands, and then it comes up and it comes up and it comes to the midpoint where it's like people who know what they're buying and buying because they've thought about it, and then it goes up to like, okay, they understand watches and they've got a lot of money, they're getting Pateks, and then the next step is it's just gone full circle back around to fashion brands for the stupid rich. That's what it is. It's mad. And the funny thing is, we can, because I completely agree. I think they look ridiculous and I think they're disgusting. Yeah, you ask most of the people my age, most of my friends, what sort of watch they'd want, they'd probably say a Richard Mille. They'd probably say something ridiculous like that, like a big Hublot. Like that's their aspirations. It's just, that's what it is. It's mad. Like if I showed them this Tudor right now, 36 mil, they'd think it's a woman's watch, like literally, because it's just. But you know what I mean? Like I'd rather wear this than a Hublot any day of the week.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, I know a friend of mine. It's Craig Till Jones. He sold his Submariner to a man that a mutual friend of a friend of his, and apparently that lad that bought the Submariner off him traded it in for a Hublot. So goes to show you, doesn't it? That's a guy of sort of 25, 26-year-old that done that. I tell you, it was just an interesting question come up there. If I'm not just popped. Where is it? Robert Marshall, what's your thoughts on the Omega Globemaster? Is this is it the Globemaster's the Meta certified one? I've tried that on. That is a nice looking watch.
It's beautiful.
Really watch. Tungsten carbide bezel is going to be tough as you like. It's problem is it's £4,800 and sorry, ain't worth that. I tell you what though, they want to Meta certify and put a tungsten carbide bezel on an Omega Seamaster 300, and that'd be a watch to get, I must admit.
The gold one is 13 grand. That's JLC territory. I don't know how they manage it.
What was that?
Omega's prices have been crazy the last several years.
The gold version is 13 grand.
Is it really?
Yeah, they got one in Lumbers right now on a leather strap. Yeah, well, retail price.
They tried to sell me a gold. They tried to sell me a gold-plated Longines Master Collection for 12 grand, and again, it's a gold plate watch on a fake leather strap. What? I was like, the guy asked me, I'm like, I started laughing hysterically. It's like 12 grand for a gold-plated watch. My God.
Oh, dearie me. No, it's a nice looking watch. It really is, but Nah, not for that. Let's be fair here. A toss up between the Globemaster and a Grand Seiko. I'd have a Grand Seiko.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, it's just it's ludicrously priced. Ludicrously priced. They really are. Nice though, but just no chance. Not that sort of money. Just bring sub for blacks. We were reading the comments now.
Comments.
3 of us at once have started reading the comments. Yeah.
I reckon I'd buy a green sub before black, just because every punter has a traditional black sub. Yeah, I really wish they would bring out a steel blue sub, because the only one they've got is white gold. Man, that shit's expensive.
I think retail here is like 32,000, something like that.
Yeah, it's mad. Like that's ridiculous.
For a dive watch. I mean, a dive watch being in solid gold, doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose, since gold is like one of the worst materials for water tightness?
Plus that price, like, that's just crazy.
Yeah, well, that's, I mean, what the Sky Dweller is, what, I think $38,000 to start on a leather. And I think the Date 8's like 37, and then if they had the Date 8 too, that's like what, 48. I mean, they're all ridiculous, but
I think when you get into them sort of things, their pricing is way over the top. I don't know, are people actually paying that though? You know, like with
someone must be paying it.
Well, I don't know, because you don't see many of them around. You always see them in the store still. You know, you go into a store, there's usually there.
That's a good question though, because I see a lot of gray market dealers around me that they'll sell gold Rolexes like for 17,000, never worn.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So if you go Chrono 24, yeah, they're all really cheap. So yeah, I don't think
nobody wants to sell gold.
Crazy.
Oh god. Eric wants to know if Fossil's looking to buy Breitling Kibble. Do you know?
I asked around on the email group thing, and everyone was just like, "What? Who's Breitling?" So I don't think so. Well, that's the people within our area. They don't even have a clue. I doubt it very much. No, I hope not as well. Tim's view on it was wise in what they're thinking, but I think Breitling surely would turn down that offer to protect the brand. It's like that's like Rolex buying Michael Kors. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make any sense. Or Michael Kors buying Rolex. Sorry, it just doesn't make any sense at all. I hope.
Fortunately, they can't afford them in that case.
Yeah. Well, they could.
The hell was that?
Michael Kors is part of Fossil Group. And the Fossil Group is killing it in terms of profit. So, I don't know. I part of me thinks they might do it, because they do own, and a lot of people don't realize, they own, what's it called? It's just left my mind. It begins with an S, the brand. It was Swiss.
Who's this?
No, is it Q? What is it?
Who owns this brand?
Fossil.
Fossil? Zodiac?
Yeah. Zodiac, that's the one. Zed. None of them. Like they own Zodiac, and Zodiac are pushing out some interesting things every now and again. I guess it would make sense for them to have a brand within that price range, and they definitely can't push any of the ones they've got in there at the moment up. So who knows?
Robert, great question. So what do you guys think of the true second complication? Like, I know the JLC, they're doing that now. Obviously, I have post-traumatic stress disorder when it comes to quartz watches. So any mechanical watch looks like a quartz is a no deal for me. But I get it. It's for accuracy, and it's a very complicated thing to do. So massive respect. But I like my watches with a sweep, not a tick. So I don't know. You guys? You know the true second JLC is doing?
I've tried on the true second geophysic, and I like it. I like the idea. It appeals to me, the idea of this this fine piece of horology that just ticks like a quartz. The sort of that appeals to me. Yeah, so I like them, and I like the fact that people are just going to look at it and think it's just an average sort of quartz watch, but it's one of them ones I know what it was, and that's all that would bother
it's stealth
me.
wealth. It's stealth wealth, and yeah, that's the one thing I like about it. Is like, you know, it's wealth just for you in a sense, because you're putting down all that money, and everyone else is just going to think you got a generic quartz. That's kind of why I like Grand Seiko so much, because people will probably look at it and just think you're wearing a Seiko. So I think it's cool what they're doing, but I personally probably will own one.
So Watch Ed just asked a good question on the whole stealth wealth thing, and it's because he was saying, would you rather have like a gold date 8 or like a Nautilus and stainless? Now, granted, a Nautilus and stainless, the price is absurd for it, but I think to your point, the stealth wealth of, do I want a flashy solid gold watch, which again, I own one of these that I associate with like pimps and like dealers and all sorts of fun stuff, or I want a watch that like a watch nerd's going to geek out on everybody else so that they think I'm just wearing some generic whatever watch. I mean, there's kind of that like cool thing of you're in the club if you recognize what this is on my wrist thing, and they're going to be my friend now.
I don't know about you guys, but I notice it all the time with just generic watches. So working at a watch station, I have to wear watches that we sell there. So I wear like a Skagen or like a Citizen or something. When I wear an Oris, it's the same thing. Like no one's ever heard of it. No one's ever heard of Oris. Like, and you get that one person who's heard of it. So it's that same sort of thing. It's not. It's like finding people who know what's going on. It's just really, really cool. And I think smaller brands, even just like Oris and Hamilton, even like Hamilton's a great talking point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I must admit, I don't mind Hamiltons. I think they're sort of reasonably priced as well. They're pretty much in every jeweler's window. So, fair play to them. They found a little niche in the market for themselves, and that's absolutely fair dues. I've got no problem with that. I'd maybe, if somebody bought me a Hamilton and presented it next week for my Christmas, I'd go, thanks very much. I have to say though, my wife for her birthday back in July got me a smartwatch, right? And it's still in the box. I've not even opened the box, right? And I might try and sell it sometime soon. She's not gonna know. But oh God, why? I thought you'd like it. I thought, why? I've got a tablet. I've got a blooming decent mobile phone. I wear a Rolex. I don't want a fucking smartwatch. And it just never, why? It's for me, our phone screens get bigger and bigger, right? So why all of a sudden you're going to go down to this size? Then it's doing all this shit on your wrist. A friend of mine's got an iWatch and he swears by it, right? He looks an absolute tit when it rings and he checks his emails on it. I thought, oh, go away. You look like an extra from Star Wars. Not Star Wars, Star Trek.
It's where it's moving. It's where it's moving. That's where the technology is moving. It's the sad reality of it. It's not refined yet, and I think it's going to be a good few years until it is. I don't like them. I hate them. But trust me, people are buying them left, right, and center. It is what people want, which is worrying.
Yeah, I don't think.
Sorry,
I don't see it catching.
Go ahead.
I think it'll be like Blu-ray DVDs, and it'll be like a little bit of a step too far. It's like, so we've got regular DVD and it looks great. We've got HD TVs, and then all of a sudden 3D HD, and then it's like you can see people going, actually, I don't quite need that. My mobile phone is enough as regards receiving texts and Facebook messages and all that sort of thing.
I think that's more from us though. Like the generation now is just wanting to be connected 24/7. Believe me, like they just can't. They can't live without their phone on them for like more than 20 minutes. Like they want to be connected. So now having something that vibrates on your wrist is perfect, because guess what? On their other wrist, they've got like a Fitbit, which is also vibrating when they get a message. It's great. They're just walking around vibrating 24/7. When the phone vibrates in their pocket to tell them what it's telling them on the wrist, it's brilliant. And then they're going to have Google Eyeglass. Just forget normal communication. We're going to forget how to talk. It's perfect.
What you said now, this is where the iWatch won't last forever, because as you say, what you're going to have is glasses with that sort of heads-up display on your glasses, and you'll go from a mobile phone to that.
Oh, it'll be built in soon.
iWatch will be obsolete
with contacts.
Oh.
I think we can all agree that this stuff gets outdated, and I think some of it too is like, I don't know how you guys are wired, but I'm wired like I appreciate technology, and this room I have like 3 computers and 3 TVs and ludicrous stuff in this room right now, but this stuff isn't a passion of mine. Like I like the old school, so I think people like us are always going to prefer old school. And like it's funny, like I'll occasionally, when I'm dumb enough, I'll let people drive some of my cars, like my Vet, and they'll notice that I have my heads-up display shut off. And they're like, "Why do you do that?" And it's like, because I like looking at the analog gauges, having like the HUD in front of me. Just I don't know. I like the old school fashion of it. I don't like the technology. And as far as investment goes, I mean, like, 6 months from now, it'll be a new version, and whatever you bought's going to be worthless, and nobody's going to want it. Whereas the watches, we already agree that they're obsolete, and we like them because they're obsolete, and they kind of remind us of a different era, right?
Definitely.
I don't know.
I mean, mechanical watches are timeless. They are timeless. And delighted to tell you. And, even if you were to sell every watch that you had tomorrow, them watches will still be ticking away in 30 years' time, 40 years' time. Your iWatch will be, and I said this to my friend, I said, your iWatch will be in the bin this time next year.
But to them, they'll just get another one, isn't it? Like that, it's like your phone. It's the exact same point of your phone. You can't. Most people are constantly swapping them each year. They're getting like 6-month contracts now. You know what I mean? It's just mad.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I actually grew attached to my wee Samsung. It's
yeah, I've still got mine. The S5 does the job.
Grew attached to it. So I had that for 2.5 years, and I finally smashed it on Wednesday morning. And
did you drive over it?
Why would I do that? No, I dropped it on the floor of the bathroom. Of course, dropped it on tiles, and that just caught it right on the corner, and that was it. The screen was wrecked. Yeah. So I was my hand was forced, if you were to go and get another phone. But I had an iPhone, and that was wrecked in about 6 months flat. But we're talking about phones again.
Apparently, Billy just said that we're boring him, and the conversation's getting slow. So, you guys out there, what should we be talking about? What do you want to talk about?
Billy, Simon, sit straight for fuck's sake. I'll tell you what, right? Wait a minute, Billy. Watch this. I'm actually
turn it sideways. There you go.
I'm laying on the sofa, right? I'm lying on the sofa. I'm lounging, right? I was out of work at 5 o'clock this morning, and I never got into 6 o'clock tonight, right? I had my dinner, okay, right? I went and had a bath, got out the bath, right? And I get a text message with this link, right? And this is here. So yes, I'm lounging on the sofa, right? And no, I'm not sitting up straight.
It's a Sunday night, 10:15. You can do whatever you want to do. It's 10:15, yeah.
It's been a long day so far. So yes, right. Give us a topic then, guys. I know Lord David's just gone to bed. I noticed his little comment there about going to bed. So night, David. That was about 10 minutes ago.
I understood what he meant. He's asking about FP Joe. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm replying to the comments too. Hey, do whatever the hell you want. This is us being real, and we can do whatever the frick we want. So if you want to lay down on the couch, Simon, knock yourself out. I'm not judging. Make yourself comfortable.
Horological Christmas gift ideas. John Terry, I got the video for you on my channel. Go check it out. Do you like that? Did you like that little plug?
Knock yourself out, guys. Promote your channels. I don't do those videos, so speak to it. It's always a good time to get a
brand right now. What is your favorite micro brand right now?
Was that directed at me? Oh, Simon, go ahead.
Everyone.
Micro brands, Sin and Damasco. I just like the designs. I like what Damasco's doing with their own steel and all that sort of thing. And that's pretty much it. Would I buy one? I don't know. Probably some point in the future. But they obviously I'm not going to buy one some point in the past, am I? What are you laughing at?
These comments, you're getting picked on a little bit, Simon. Stand up for yourself.
Right, hang on, let me have a look.
You don't mess with a Scot. Do they not know this? You don't mess with the Scots. God.
I don't know that these qualify as micro brands, but Longines and Nomos are my two favorite lesser known brands.
Oh, Nomos, yes. Oris, even though it's kind of not, but it still is a little bit. There's a little bit of
These comments are ridiculous.
Andrew, Squally is the Young Turks' favorite. The Young Turks. Squally's for the Young Turks, then probably Sin and Damasco, definitely for InfoWars. Oh no, somebody's mentioned we're talking about Squally now. Let's not go.
I'm not talking about Squally. We talk about them every channel, every live session. Their cases are made in China. They're replica homage watches, and I know you guys like them. I don't like them, and that's all I want to say about them.
I absolutely love them.
Obama,
They're my favorite watches.
So if Obama wears tag, what watch does Trump wear?
His own brand. Yeah.
He wears his own brand. That's funny. That's funny.
Fuck's sake.
Of course he does.
Yeah. Obama's got the tog, and then he's got some made-up watch like the Secret Service gave him, if I remember, about Andrew. I can't remember what it's like, some made-up thing they gave him, like a chronograph they bought at like the gift shop at like the White House or something.
It was a George Gray.
Is that what it was?
It's a George Gray that the Secret Service bought Obama. Actually, James, your dad's just commented it's time for your bed.
Oh, has he? Oh, damn it. I got to be up for school in the morning. It's a Monday, isn't it? Damn it.
Wait, what age are you, by the way?
What age am I? I'm 19. I know I look 12. Don't worry about it.
What about you? What about you, Jay? I don't even. What age are you?
So my birthday is actually coming up in a couple of weeks. So let's take a guess, and then I'll tell you the answer. Since people usually guess me older than I am.
Yeah, you're probably about, I don't know, a bit younger than me, about 40.
40. I'll be 29 on the 24th. I'm not offended.
No, I had been told you were only 28, and my answer to that was, he's only fucking 28.
It's my maturity, right? No, I'm just kidding.
You remind me of Diego Costa, the Chelsea player. You last week magically managed to stay out of a fight.
Oh.
I don't know if there was this meme going around on Facebook. It was Diego Costa and the woman who at the time was the physio for Chelsea Football Club, and she's like 42 and looks 22, and he's like 25 and looks 50. But it was quite amusing, but you had to be there. Can't believe Mark. Can I ask you a quick question? Mark Flower, are you working tonight? Mark Flower is an RAC breakdown man. He goes out in the little van rescuing people that are broken down. I know a lot of these guys. I've spoken to a few of these guys.
Oh, these comments.
1 minute. By the way, I'm gonna have to go and let the cat out, right? And I'm gonna go for a quick piss, but I will be back. Okay.
No worries.
I almost made Trump grab him by the comment, but this isn't the place for it.
What are your thoughts on GPS watches like Seiko Astron? I think they're cool. They have their place for certain people, definitely. I personally want to own them though. What do you think of the weird coating Junghans puts on their acrylic crystals? It's really putting me off from buying one. I'm an acrylic, but not being able to polish it. I actually didn't know they did that. Did you? Did you know that they put a coating on their acrylic crystals, Junghans?
I had heard that, and I'd also heard they had a problem, especially on the Max Bill series, that actually would crack the crystal. They didn't know if it was a coating or what, but I know some of the Max Bills were actually cracking after a couple of months. And I was kind of curious how they ever figured that out, like what happened with it.
That is mad.
Anybody into GX100? Maybe? I don't know. That sounds very familiar. Like I might. These comments.
Go on then, throw some questions, guys.
Right.
What you got?
I know. Come on. What would you guys like to talk about? We can make fun of how I look older than I am or all this crap too. We can talk about whatever. Fine. But this needs to be entertaining for you guys watching.
So apparently you
all questions are fair game.
Apparently you look.
I'll click an old.
And I look about 16, so this is good. Got a good mix here. Vintage Squale, probably the best watches you can get, really. Vintage Squale, definitely. They hold the most value. You know, you can pick them up for about £20 on eBay and sell them for £75,000. Yeah, great value, really. Definitely get about 10. Smith's watches, you know what? They actually do some really cool designs. I've seen quite a few of them. They do some really nice sort of diving style watches. I'm hoping to get a few in for the store, definitely. But Vintage Timex is definitely where I'm looking right now. And Vintage Auris, I've got a few of them and they're very nice. And and really stupidly good value as well for vintage Oris. What you get. Same with vintage Hamilton. Brands like that.
Somewhere around here, I have a vintage Timex. I don't even know what the heck I do with it.
Is that the one?
Just for the sake of the conversation. A little small.
It's nice.
Original
nice
rotted
vintage
name.
Timex. I got this one in at the moment. The one with the textured dial.
Yeah.
Love it. Little vintage
That's
Timex.
pretty. I've seen that on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gorgeous. Nice patina.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Stefan, you were asking about these higher priced G-Shocks. I'll be honest and say I honestly didn't know about those. So let me look those up. You got me curious because I was not aware of that. I knew they made like $1,000 plus professional. I didn't know about the 3,000 plus. That's news to me.
Hamilton rule the mid tier. Definitely. They got it. Boreas Crazy Warring. Yeah, the new one. Boreas are doing some fun stuff, to be honest. I would like to get one in for review and see what they're all about. Do you see yourself ever being a one watch man? Definitely not. But I feel I could be a one brand guy down the line after years of experience in many other brands, obviously. But yeah, what do you guys think? A one watch guy? Do you think you could be it, or a one brand guy? Could you be any of them?
Yes and yes.
Cool.
I could definitely be a one brand guy, and I would be all Seiko, which is a big surprise to you all, I'm sure. And I think I like the idea of having kind of one really good watch that's kind of good for all situations. I think at my current point in my life, I could definitely not get rid of my collection. I mean, I have like, I don't even want to know how many watches I have. It's scary. But I definitely think that, you know, in the right place, like I'm obsessed with Japan and the whole minimalist stuff, having like a small space, but everything has a purpose. I think the same thing with a watch, like having one really nice watch to me, I think there's something kind of romantic about that. I like the idea of having like simple things done very well. So not at this point in my life. Right now I'm just collecting shit, but I think at some point having one really good watch would be cool for me. What about you, Simon?
Yeah, probably. I think more it'll be more of an organic thing. It'll be more a case of I get sick and tired of the whole watch thing and just think, well, you know, I've got rid of this, get rid of that, and just probably just keep the now would just be the OP. And you know, that's it. I could maybe sort of go down to that. I mean, the Seiko's just gone. I don't wear the Omega. I'm pretty much right now just down to wearing the Orient and the Rolex anyway. So I'm practically a sort of a two-watch man as it stands. There you go. Yeah, I could quite happily see myself be a one-watch guy at some point. Still dabbling though. Still want to sort of dabble around a little bit, but it could quite easily happen. And a lot of guys, there's lots of guys that it could happen to. You definitely see people go from massive collections down to sort of 3 watches. I think
I've just done that.
Johnny Casual used to say that. He used to say, you know, we hoard, then purge, then hoard,
Yeah.
then purge again. And it's very, very true. It's just sort of, it's almost like a cycle that we go through. And right now I'm at the purge stage. And I think you generally need to purge to sort of start hoarding again. Because let's be fair, there's at least so much money you can throw at these things. So, you know, yep, get something else and you're going to wear. Christ's sake, if you're going to buy a watch, make sure you're going to have the time to wear it, and that's a very important thing as well.
Yeah, that's one thing I really enjoy talking about, which is collecting philosophy and how everyone's is different. Like mine personally is to only own ones I wear. Like right now, I'm going to have 3 watches and that's it. But the good thing is with the buying and selling that I've constantly got other watches in anyway. So, but 3 watches is kind of where I'm at, and that's because that's my philosophy. Whereas my dad's philosophy is to have like one for each sort of genre, you know, like a diving, a vintage, you know, that kind of sub-seconds, all that kind of stuff. And it's just cool to see how people's philosophy is completely different. I think it's definitely very cool.
Can I just quickly answer a question, Jay, before you come back there? Jay Sykes has asked, whatever happened to Johnny Casual? Johnny Casual
went to Hawaii, didn't he?
He's a teacher, and he got very abruptly was offered a job out in Hawaii. So I think since about May, he has, you probably knew the turn of the year, he started to sort of make less and less videos anyway. And then when the job in Hawaii come up, he pretty much just think, well, we'll go and do that, clean break. And he has no intention of coming back to YouTube. I still speak to him now and then via Facebook Messenger. And that's it. So I'm afraid Johnny is off the scene pretty much for good. And that's that. So great guy, nice guy, very clever, intelligent, thoughtful man, but no longer interested in watch YouTubing. And we can all understand that, I suppose. There's things that happen and get said that make you think, well, basically, fuck this for a game of soldiers. But he's had a new sort of start in life and he wants to wipe the slate clean and get on with that. So good luck to him.
Yeah, I enjoyed his philosophical side to watch collecting and all that sort of stuff. I don't think anyone's filled that void yet.
No. I was talking to somebody the other day, and it was actually somebody that I'd had a little bit of a fallout with, and we got talking via Messenger, and I sort of put it to him that community misses or doesn't have, and would be a great sort of section, would be for somebody to come in and I don't know if you watched the political commentator Sargon of Akkad. Well, this guy does every Sunday, he does a show called This Week in Stupid, where he basically goes through some of the sort of political topics of the week and breaks them down and sort of, lends a sort of a critical eye and ear to these little things that have happened. I think it'd be great for somebody to come along even once a fortnight and do like a this week or this fortnight in stupid in the watch community, and just sort of kind of critique channels and who does what, and maybe sort of pick fault in maybe what somebody said and be a little bit more critical. It doesn't have to be nasty, but to be critical. I think that'd be a great show for some. You know what I mean? Fuck me. There's plenty of critical people out there, right? I'm pretty sure somebody could have the wherewithal to get together and make themselves a channel and break down and sort of discuss in depth with themselves and with their audience the sort of rubbish that we talk about. I mean, he or she would absolutely have no end of content to pick apart. It has to be said.
Well, I think you volunteered yourself for that. You did that video on like the whole history of YouTubers in the watch community. I think we know you had this psychological understanding, so I think you should start making those videos and be critical.
It wasn't so much a psychological understanding, but I was kind of, it was just literally what I saw from when I sort of come into it, or with the about 2 years ago when sort of Archie Luxury had fallen out with John Suckerhorn, and John Suckerhorn formed his own sort of group, including Adrikos, Craig Till Jones, and a few others, TGV being one, and then the sort of fallout from TGV and how it's sort of gone on, and it's just it's just a soap opera. It really is a soap opera, and it can be quite interesting, but I think you do have to a certain degree take some of it with a pinch of salt, and this is the thing is, do a whiteboard video every fortnight. All right, just do that, Jake.
I support that.
Same. I said to you, you got something new there. You got something different, and I think you should run with it. It's good.
Well, it started. The very first one I done was at the beginning of the year, and it was about the watch tier system, and it was a parody of a video that I saw that a guy done, and the matrix was hot crazy matrix for women. So the one line was how hot they are, and across the bottom was basically how crazy they are. And he drew a sort of a line up and said, don't want to touch these girls who are sort of below a 3 for looks. But, it was pretty sexist, that had to be said. But it was very funny. Anyway, as regards to the crazy matrix, as he said, it starts at a 4 because there's no woman that is less than a 4 crazy. But then I'll have to send you a link to the video. He finishes up. This guy says to him, he says, look, man, I know this girl. He says, and she's chilled as she is beautiful. She's like at least a 9 hot, and she's as chilled as you like. She's like a 2 on the crazy spectrum. And he looked at his friend and went, "That's a tranny." He said, if you get a good looking chilled woman, it's a bloke. But the next bit was the male bit, where it was like a sort of a graph for women to follow for men. He says it's quite simple. He says it's just looks and money, and that was it.
It's Brilliant.
Oh dear. So yeah, they're fun to do, but it's just it's just sort of getting the sort of just remembering it all, especially when you're going through like loads of brands. I mean, I like to try.
I think you should have some notes and stuff with you, because I noticed you do them completely off the cuff, which is entertaining to watch, definitely. But when you miss out a few things, it makes it I don't know what would be the word.
Yeah, I think what happens is when I do miss stuff out, that's why I end up with 150 comments on every video. It's people interjecting in with, "You never said this. What about this one?
Yeah.
What about that? What about this? Don't get this. Don't get that."
It creates the conversation.
Try and you create conversation. You try and leave that little sort of end open for people to sort of add their own. But you don't sort of don't mention it all in the video. You've got to leave something to sort of say in the comments as well. That's what I like to do. I didn't sort of set out to do that, but I've kind of found myself doing that. Yeah, it's good. I enjoy YouTubing. I must admit, I'm more into the sort of watch community and the sort of the people involved and the friends I've met through the community. I'm actually more into that and keep sort of associating with some of these guys. They're really good guys. A lot of them are. And my sort of love of watches to a certain degree has waned a little bit. And it's more the sort of, I flick on Facebook and it's like watch group after watch group. And these are my friends now. This is me sort of going down the pub. I always feel like I'm going down the pub, but drinking Diet Coke now, if you see what I mean.
Definitely.
But yeah, so it's all right. It's sort of, I like YouTubing. I just like sticking a video up every 4 or 5 days and, replying to the comments.
It's great. It's great building a community, like a worldwide community. You can go on your analytics and see where people are. Like, I got people in South Korea watching me, and it's just so cool to know that like in all over the world people are watching me, and it's just fun to see, and it's fun to see that community build. And it's fun to put out a video and see loads of people like it, but then maybe loads of people dislike it as well because they have a difference of opinion. Like, I love that. It's actually good because it creates this conversation, it creates this dialogue, and it's so interesting to me to see this sort of community aspect, which you have control of because you're the one putting out the videos. It really interests me. Like,
yeah, I sort of, I don't Chinaman chimp, I'm watching you from hell. Fair enough. Probably is.
Are you in the Midlands in the UK then? Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not in the Midlands, are you? He's in Birmingham. Oh, I would have upset somebody by saying that. No, the demographics are weird because I'm
coming to you from your imagination. I don't exist.
I'm pretty sure TGV said in one of his videos that a lot of his audience are under 25, which I sort of found odd because my audience is predominantly 35 to 45 years old.
Same.
Or 35 to 55. It is also, I'm about 30%, 35% UK, 35% American. Oddly, Australia only makes up about 5%, and the rest is sort of
Asia. Asia's massive for mine.
Really?
Even Russia. Asia's big for mine.
Nothing. No, I don't get much.
Really, nothing.
I get a few in Germany, actually. I must admit, I get a few Germans. But apart from that, it's pretty much a North American British audience for me, which is fine. That's fine. It's weird because things can get taken out of context. Things can get taken different ways. So people they only have the internet using that.
Should we get back to discussing watches?
Oh god.
It's funny because you just a comment catches your eye and you're like, what did he say?
I love it when people put like ridiculous stuff in there because it is just I keep getting distracted. By the way, there's like 15 million places called Birmingham. I know the one you're talking about. I lived in Birmingham, Michigan for a while too, so I've also been in Birmingham, but different Birmingham. Yes, we need more Seiko shops for sure, Jonathan.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
they're talking
Actually, I went to a retailer here, and I was told them, I said, "Why do you keep selling these same, just generic like American market watches? Why can't I get like a Sarg or a Sarg or anything else?" And like the guy who worked there was actually an enthusiast like us, and he's like, "We know it." And I keep telling corporate, it's like nobody there seems to buy it because nobody knows better. And it's like, I would love it for if we could have that much of an impact where we'd actually create the demand where they actually would start selling these things out of Japan. Flip side is I would feel less special wearing one because people would know what it is and it wouldn't be as rare. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword on that front.
Well, here's a great question. 888 Kingster has asked, what do you guys think of MDWE? Now, MDWE is Modern Day Watch Enthusiasts, which is a group which I'm part of. I don't know if you two are you a member of that group, James?
Yeah, we both are, I think.
Are you both in that group? Yeah. Very easy to get eaten alive in MDWE. So
I don't post.
It is a group for the people there, the people in charge, are very much into their sort of vintage stuff. They are quite happy for you to go along there and learn. They have got a very low tolerance of bullshit unless it's their own. No, it's an odd group. It really is. It's a good group. It's an interesting group, and it's a very sort of mixed bag of different people from different sort of walks and walks of life. And the thing is, there is you can look at one post and think, okay, and it gets a good reception, and then somebody can put up more or less the same post and get absolutely ripped to shreds, just depending on what mood some of the guys are in. But yeah, it's a good solid watch group, and it's grown. It's doubled in size in the last 3 months. So they're doing something right, I must admit. I think
that's one thing I'm lacking on, which is the Facebook thing, being involved in all that. There's definitely something to be done there, isn't there? In terms of growth for the YouTube channel. But it's just, I don't really like it.
It's way Facebook is a medium where you really get to know people, whereas like Twitter, people are sort of at arm's length. Instagram, the same. A lot of the other sort of social media outlets, people are at arm's length. Whereas with Facebook, you can sort of really get to know people. I mean, Jay sent me this link over Facebook Messenger, and that's how we've sort of conversed. And I've conversed with so many people via Messenger. It really has made the world a small place. And I'm thinking, I'm speaking to you two guys now. Jesus, I mean, I must have spoken in the last 2 years to 30 people in at least 30 people in the community. I mean, it's easier for me to say the ones I haven't spoken to. Ironically, I've not spoken to TGV, I've not spoken to Federico, I've not spoken to Paul Thorpe. Apart from that, I've pretty much spoken to everybody else. So it's it's about 5 guys tonight that have commented that I talked to, a couple of which on a regular basis too. But I like Facebook. I think if it was a toss up between having to leave YouTube and just remain on Facebook, I probably would.
Really?
I know Craig Till Jones took that route. He just thought, well, blew his channel up, and he's got enough going with his Facebook group to. And Jay's watching the comments there, like he's smiling away to himself. So if you want to get to know people, Facebook's the way to do it. YouTube's all right. There's a little bit sort of, you're kind of grandstanding. You're on your soapbox having a little preach, aren't you?
I think that's the fun
I prefer this modality.
yeah, same.
I like YouTube much better because I am legitimately largely antisocial, and I'm very selective with the people that I talk to. And it's not that I think I'm super special, but honestly, I'm one of those people that likes being by myself. And I'm allowed to get my message out, and I can respond to people in the comments, but I'm not still like, I can still kind of keep some of a distance. When I feel like Facebook, I feel like I just would get drawn in the drama all the time, and I don't like talking about myself. It makes me very uncomfortable. So it's
Not
like,
only that, can you imagine if I did my my Vostok video through the Facebook group? I'd be assassinated by now. You know what I mean? So that's why I stick to YouTube, so I can have these opinions and be alive.
Well, And it's like, I don't know. I like the separation between YouTube and my real life. I don't want everybody like in my personal life looking at my photos and all my day trips and like what I ate for lunch. That like makes me, that's just, I don't know. I like this dynamic better, but I get why Facebook, I mean, again, it's personal, but I mean, this is pretty personal too. We're talking, in a live chat, and I get messages through YouTube messages. Huh? Yeah.
It depends what sort of connection you want to have with the people who watch you. Like, I occasionally stream on Twitch playing video games, and I've got about 1,000 followers over there. And I absolutely love doing that because it's live interaction like this. But I feel like I know a lot of them on a personal level. I went to a gaming event, I think it was last year or was it the year before, and I met a few of the people who watch me. It was literally meeting these people who watch me for like ages. And there's definitely that level of personal connection, which is good. It's fun. And I think the watch community, because of the general age of each viewer, that same connection isn't there. If I'm completely honest, I don't think many people. There's been very select few who want to actually have that level of like back and forth communication with someone who's 19. You know what I mean? Considering the average age is like 35, 40.
Well, but like Simon said, I mean, you recognize a lot of the names in the comments. I mean, to you guys watching, I mean, legitimately, I can tell you, like, you guys are all very distinct to me, and I recall a lot of conversations we've had. I mean, you're not just random people in the comments to me. I mean, I feel like I know you guys on some level. And, I recognize when we have conversations, and I remember things you've told me, and, I do feel like there is that personal level, and you definitely get to know the people that watch you, and you run into each other on other people's channels. I mean, I'll be on your guys' channel or some other channel, and it's like, I'll see these same people in the comments, and we'll start a conversation up. Yeah. I feel like we are this kind of big screwed up family.
Yeah, it is like a big dysfunction. It's like, I always thought of it as being in the pub, down the pub with my friends. You've got different people sitting at different tables,
different groups.
You've got Archie sat in the corner screaming away at himself like some mad old dog. And outside you've got a few trolls throwing stones at the windows. The occasional one that comes in. Yeah, I noticed Guido's in the comments. Any chance of throwing Guido a link to this and getting Guido on for a chat?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, the link I sent you, just feel free to forward it to him. I don't have Guido's contact. If you want to pass it along, that's cool.
Well, I wouldn't have a clue how to do that. I've had to use my tablet to get onto Google Hangouts because my new phone won't let me do it for some reason. But I'll introduce the two of you later because he's quite an interesting. He's a great laid back guy, and Guido's great. He doesn't take any drugs, even though he's from Amsterdam. Straight up, he doesn't. Right? He doesn't.
Well, I'm not judging at all. No, I was going to say too, but it's like I would be happy to have any of these guys on here. I mean, the only two criteria I think for us doing a live show with anybody is we all need to have a good camaraderie with each other, be able to be kind to each other. We need to avoid drama. I mean, as long as we can have a cool conversation and not get involved in bullshit, then I think anybody should come on here. I love different perspectives. So yeah, for sure. And some of you guys in the comments that you've never bothered to tell me your real names. I mean, I'd love to have a one-on-one with you guys too. I feel like we know each other. So by all means. Oh, he's sending you some cookies, Simon.
Never again.
Guido's a good guy.
I don't know how it got through customs. Honestly, I don't. Come on, close Facebook groups then on YouTube. Yeah, no, it's no, sorry, I've completely forgotten what I was talking about. Oh dear. It's like, also got Jay, whereabouts are you? You're in the sort of the far side of America, are you not? Like the California side of America?
No, I don't like telling people where I live, and I've said it on a couple of my occasions before. There's so much drama and bullshit on YouTube. I don't like people being able to track me. So I'm in the general vicinity of the United States. I'm not in California. And if you want to stalk me, you can find that on old live sessions.
All right. It's all right. Yeah. No, I'm just wondering. That was all because wondering what. Okay, put it this way: what time of day is it over there, where you are now?
Here it's midday. Me, it's midday.
All right. Okay. So you're the far side of the thing then. Right. No problem. That we'll leave it.
Which part of Scotland are you at?
Sorry.
Which part of Scotland are you at?
I am just outside Edinburgh.
Just outside Edinburgh, because I've been to Edinburgh, Glasgow, and Falkirk.
Yeah, I'm sort of pretty much along that axis.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it, right? You've got you got Glasgow on the one side, Edinburgh on the other, and then it's sort of like a reverse L. It goes up to sort of Dundee, Aberdeen, and that's pretty much it. The rest of it's empty. And it's
Yeah,
true.
I love
the rest
Scotland.
of it is empty. It's
Scotland
same
and
size.
Wales,
It's
beautiful.
the same size as England. Scotland and England are the same size, but there's only a tenth of the people in Scotland as there is in England, or it's something like that. It's
Yeah, it's very mad. But yeah,
Yeah.
when I
Like
went
the
to
size of the state
Falkirk,
of Texas, though, right?
pretty much. When I went to Falkirk, it was crazy. I was in a council estate area. This is when I was doing door knocking, and
Right.
it was literally just a pure rundown council estate, like what I live in right now. But you
Right.
turn around, there's just like mountains and like the most beautiful view you'll ever see, and it's like they're all living on benefits down there, and they've got that beautiful view. And here we are, like in England, just our views just more council estates. You know what I mean? It's mad.
Part of the reason I got the drone because you're never any more than about 10 or 15 minutes from a bit of countryside to go and play with the drone, if you would.
You're stuffed with a drone down here in England because you're in constant no-fly zones. Like your drone just won't take off in most of the places down here.
Yeah, I spoke to I sort of said to Kwan out in Abu Dhabi about getting a drone out there. I said you'd have some spectacular views, and
He needs to do it. He's back in
tells-
England right now, isn't he?
He's coming back for Christmas. I don't know if he's back right now.
He's got a place down here, you know, where I am.
There's families from there. Families from
Yeah,
there.
because he's open to come down. I'm hoping to make a couple of videos with him. Be really cool.
Right, that's good. That's good. He did actually. I think he alluded to doing a video with a young YouTuber from Leicester, and I thought, well, it can only be you, you know.
Yeah, it was back when I was doing vlogging as well, like daily vlogging and all that. Yeah.
Do you do that anymore?
No, I did 200 days on the trot. 200 days, and then called it there.
Yeah.
I weren't the next Casey Neistat.
No. I think Casey Neistat had been backed to a degree by YouTube. I mean, he just all of a sudden found himself on a first class ticket on Emirates to Dubai, and then to go to a YouTube convention in Australia, and you think, all right, okay.
It's great. He's an internet celebrity that businesses are jumping all over because they can reach so many people for so cheap, because YouTubers are not full-blown celebrities with like these massive prices that they pay for advertisement. You know what I mean? It's mad. YouTube is such a great platform. People don't realize the average, and like this is no word of a lie, the average million views equates to about $2,000. So people like him who are making 150 million views a month, you can do the math. You know what I mean? Like YouTube is just ridiculous.
Yeah. I always thought it was about $1 per 1,000 views or something like that. Is it? No, I don't know. It's
It depends obviously on the month and ad rates and what they're equating to, but the average going rate is about 2,000, roughly $1,500 to $2,000 per million views. That's what they say. So I don't know what that works out as.
Fuck knows. Too much.
Yeah, too much.
And listen, anyway, lads, I am gonna have to get off because I am. I'm fucking knackered. Basically, I want to get off and go to bed.
No worries, man.
I've been up far too long. Okay, so I'm gonna skedaddle now.
No worries. It was
chatting.
awesome talking to you, man.
Right, how do I
Talking to you.
bloody thing off? There it is. Right, guys, I'll see you later. Okay.
All right, in a bit, mate. Take care.
Bye.
Right, lads.
Nero, by the way, New York is, I don't know if you're in the city or if you're like upstate, but New York is one of my favorite places. I have a lot of family in New York and New Jersey, like in the surrounding areas of the city itself, and it's definitely a second home to me. So a little bit jealous, especially this time of year with all the snow, for sure. YouTube into the
What's
future
going on in the
video
chat?
worldwide broadcast.
Yeah, definitely. It already is.
Yeah, and I hear a lot of people are worried though that YouTube's going to become that's hilarious, Jay. That YouTube is going to become more of like a new place for like all the big like brand networks, and like people like us are going to get kicked off. We'll be interested to see how we do.
Yeah. Mad.
Oh, the moderator is deleting messages. I missed that one. Was it good?
Yeah, it was a good.
Yeah. Yeah, Nero, I spend a lot of time in NYC. I love NYC. Especially this time of year. They have all the Christmas displays on the shops on Fifth Avenue. Like, I'd love to go check out the displays like at Lord & Taylor and Bergdorf Goodman. And yeah, anyway. Again, not talking about watches, but great time of year to be in the city.
I really want to go traveling next year. I don't know where to go. Like, America's definitely on the list, but I don't know. All right, take care, Simon.
Nero, no, I do not live in Detroit. I grew up in Michigan. I grew up in the sheltered suburbs of Detroit, like Bloomfield Hills, West Bloomfield, Birmingham. I don't know if you know what any of that is. Basically, all the people that didn't want to live in Detroit wanted to live. It was like where all the wealth was. But I love Detroit. It's one of my favorite cities. But yeah, Detroit, Chicago, New York City, and Seattle are like my top 4 cities for sure.
No forest jokes. I'm hoping to go to Ireland next year. Northern Ireland. Be sick.
Be good.
Actually, that's where I'm sending my my Citizen Eagle 7 tomorrow to Northern Ireland for a service for a Instagram service guy. He's got only an Instagram page, and we're gonna see how he does. Hopefully, I get my watch back.
Yeah, I'm due to review your Oris at some point. You guys have. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna contact CG after this and just ask if she's able to send it over. I know she's extremely busy right now, but I'm scared. If with all the moving and stuff, we might just get left behind.
I think it'll be safe. I'm looking forward to checking it out. Tournament champ, we have plans to visit Archie Luxury. I don't. You know, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, if something happened where he and I end up having a conversation on YouTube, I would legitimately be very interested in getting to understand him a little bit more for a multitude of reasons. But no, I'm not going to go visit him. I know he's a big YouTube celebrity and all that, and I don't know that I'm worthy of his time, so we're not going to do that. But yeah, YouTube stream with Archie Luxury. I think he's too big of a celebrity to do a live stream with me, if I'm honest. I don't know that I'm up to his standards for a live chat. He hasn't even heard of me, but he subscribed, so I guess he knows me a little bit.
Yeah, I think he subbed to me as well. It was a month ago. I was getting loads of emails from people saying he'd done a video where he mentioned me or something, but I never found it. So
yeah, somebody said he was saying negative stuff about me too, but I never heard it, so I can't imagine he gives a shit about me.
No, I can't.
So I'm not worthy to talk to the great Archie Luxury, so probably not going to happen.
We've had TGV on the show. We've had Federico. We've had quite a few people on the show, isn't it?
Yeah, I've met Federico. You've talked to TGV. I've never talked to TGV. Well, guys, we're kind of winding down here. What else would you guys like to talk about watch-related wise? What are we missing out here? Since we can talk about whatever you want. I mean, for sure. But I mean, what would you guys like to talk about? Yeah, I remember that grab knob. I do remember that. Yeah,
it's a fun stream that was.
That was actually a really funny stream. I watched that too. I'll note that. That was pretty funny.
I enjoyed that. So yeah,
let's talk.
I cannot believe
with cars.
How is your YouTube growth going?
I don't really pay attention to it. I know last week
you smashed 8K.
Yeah, have I?
Yeah, it's mad. You're growing like ridiculous.
I'd say on the one hand, I've worked my ass off, and I feel like I've kind of earned it. But the flip side is there's people that do this shit way better than I do, for sure. But yeah, I mean, what was it? September of last year. I think in terms of getting out content all the time, and I think in terms of making videos that people actually are more. Go ahead.
But getting out content all the time isn't the main thing. Like, I pump out a video one every 2 days. That's a lot of videos a week. it doesn't mean they're all good. Like they're far from it. Whereas yours are good. Yours are getting so much better as well. I remember like you're really. I went back and watched like a really 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 old video of yours, and the difference between that and today's like sort of videos is just immense. Like I don't really see that kind of improvement with anyone else yet. Although Bruce's level is definitely getting up there as well, isn't it? He's pumping out
He's
some
doing
incredible
good.
stuff. Yeah,
You know what's
amazing.
funny though, speaking of my other videos, is I never watched any of my old YouTube videos, and just by happenstance, I happened to catch one from like 6 years ago. I had an accent. I never realized that I had an accent, but I had a Michigan accent that apparently I've lost. It's kind of like a soft Minnesotan, kind of Midwestern-y thing that I never realized I had before. So, yeah, like people are really good at making these videos. Like they're asking, like, what are your holiday tips, or like, you know, top 5, top 10 list, or they're reviewing all the watches that people are all excited about.
Yeah.
And I know that if I made videos like that, people would watch more. But I make stuff on what I actually like, which I think is kind of where I've kind of stuck myself.
Yeah, but it's good because that's what people come to your channel for. They don't come to your channel for, you know, the hot topic in watch news. Like they come to your channel for what you're going to be talking about next, and that's why it's interesting. You know, other channels might be focused more around watches. I think your channel is much more and is developed to be much more personal about you. It's like how I've come into it as well. With my channel's my name. You know what I mean? It's you know, it's about me and my opinion on the watches. It's not about just watches. I think that's what's happening a lot more now.
Well, I think that's a struggle. I think I'd love to hear what your thoughts are too, because I do feel like I want to, Jay, I'll answer your question too real quick. The thought is how do you get beyond this? Because I love watches, but I like cars. I'd love to do more stuff with cars and do a bunch of stuff. I don't want to get pigeonholed into one topic, and I don't know if you have similar thoughts, but
yeah, do it 100%. I say do it. If you want to create a separate channel for it, then go ahead and do that. But I think so I had 2 channels, one for vlogging and one for watches, because they're 2 completely different things. Whereas cars and watches, I think people who appreciate watches usually appreciate cars and vice versa. So I think you'd be completely fine doing that kind of content on the channel. I'd really enjoy I'd love to see that. I want to see you do a full review of your Corvette. I think that'd be the most, like, one of the most interesting things. Do it.
I have a review on the Corvette up.
Oh, do you?
See, nobody watches them.
Do an updated one. There you go.
How many watches is Rolex turning out for each model? I mean, every model is very different, China and Champ, because I know like the Cellini line, like those are very low production versus like a Submariner. I'm sure they make a couple 100,000 like with a Datejust. But I mean, Rolex makes over 1 million watches a year, but I don't think they release the official numbers. But I mean, yeah, they're never going to go away. And I know one of the questions was, what do we think of the SKX and the Turtle? James, I know I want you to talk about your SKX. The SKX I've always respected, but I've been more of a monster guy. But the Turtle, especially the Patty, which is super hot right now. I saw the first one in real life like last week, and I was very happy, and I really wanted it, but I ended up buying a Seiko Sumo instead.
Good choice. I really like the Paddy. I think it's a lot better than the SKX. My personal opinion on the SKX is it's a new watch that's a bit outdated, I think. I respect it, and for the price, I think it's really, really great. I sold mine because the blue disappoints me, and I just don't wear it anymore. You know, like when I got an Oris, it just completely fills that void, and I'm just like, nah. You know what I mean?
That's my fear with getting the Sumo, is that I'm not going to want to wear my Monster anymore, and I don't want to get marred with my Omega Seamaster, and having 3 dive watches seems kind of silly. All right, guys, I know we're kind of getting boring here. Anything else we'd like to talk about before we wrap up? And there's a couple-minute lag while they wait to catch up for our live feed here of riveting conversation.
Seiko toe is running slow.
Yeah, you want a blue Sumo, Gary? That's the one I just bought, and it's got a Yaboki's aftermarket Pepsi bezel on it. So hopefully I'll show you the review. Hopefully you'll like it.
Nice.
Thanks, Darren. So I think we've got crickets in the audience now.
Yeah, I think we're done. I think the audience.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks, Grobbers.
Yeah. Speak
now or forever hold your peace.
Yeah, it's been a fun live show. It was cool to have Simon on. It's cool. We're getting slowly. We're almost getting through like every person in the community. I think it's good having one person on at a time.
Yeah.
like one viewer, not one viewer, one guest with us too, kind of thing. It works really well. I think it's a nice mix. Because what I've noticed is everyone we've had on has been, opinions always differ. Like our opinions differ, their opinions differ. It's just really good. It's not this podcast where everyone's just like agreeing with each other 24/7, which is good. But
well, that's the thing that makes us great. We all disagree with each other. We all have different perspectives. Exactly. So last question, I guess we can all answer. Let's all pick like one last question. So Chinaman Champ is asking, what's the next watch you guys would get? So for me, and I almost bought one last week, and then the price went up a little bit, and I backed off, was the Jaeger-LeCoultre Reverso, the black and the white, where you flip it back and forth. What about you?
Oh, if you asked me last week, I'd have said Nomos. If you asked me this week, I'm saying Tudor. So ask me again next week, and I'll see what I say.
We're really good at contradicting ourselves. Guys, stay tuned. You'll watch us talk about the same things over and over again.
With different answers each time. That's the best thing.
Jonathan, one last question. Do you guys think two-tone is more flashy than gold?
I love two-tone.
No, I don't. I like two-tone. You know, I remember when I had my Submariner, and then my father got a two-tone version of the same sub. He has the 16613. I had the 16610. I seriously liked his two-tone better than my stainless. I think the two-tone is just classy enough, and having owned a solid gold Rolex, I think that the all gold I thought was too much. I thought it was too flashy. So I think the two-tone's a nice balance, not just in gold, but just in any watch. I think when you get two colors that complement each other really well, that kind of makes the watch pop versus
Rose
just being a solid color.
Yeah, rose gold and steel, two-tone day date on a Jubilee. That's like, the day I own that is the day I'm retiring. You know what I mean? Can't wait.
Well, it's like the Yacht-Master with the blue dial, but then you have the contrast of like the platinum and the stainless. You got the really nice colors. They just really complement each other. You don't get the solid color.
Yeah. That's why I love the Yacht-Master.
Yeah. And the two-tones hold up better too because they don't stretch as much with the solid gold.
Yeah, true.
But all right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll do this again sometime. It'll be a surprise, probably within a month or so. But as always, guys, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully we didn't bore you guys too much and go off on too many random tangents. And really appreciate you guys tuning in today. So thank you.
Yeah, it was good fun. Thank you for watching, guys. Take care.
Take care.